No new changes to the top seven. Oregon 6 instead of 8. Got it.
Yeah, Oregon up 2, Alabama moved up 1, Penn State moved up 1.
Yeah, Oklahoma only dropped 2 for losing to an unranked team.
I have them dropping 4.
Oh, 4. Sorry, 6 to 10.
Yeah. Oregon State dropped 5. And Utah dropped 5.
And they made sure they put Kansas in the rankings to make it not look so bad that Oklahoma lost to them and only dropped 4. 6-2 Kansas.
Well, Kansas State's also ranked at 6-2, and USC's 7-2.
Yeah,
UCLA, Tennessee, Utah, they're all 6-2.
Kansas isn't really a great team.
Yeah,
look at their games.
Yeah, you look at their body of work, and you're like, nah.
Like Nevada by 7. Like, ugh. But Air Force, hell of a team right now. I don't think I've ever been alive while Air Force has been ranked. Hi, Boogie. Hi, Darlene. That's 8-0. And they average 300.4 rushing yards a game.
Yeah, they do like to run the ball.
Yeah. But, I don't know. No big surprises. I'm happy they didn't move USC up because they just really didn't deserve it.
USC survived. That's how I described that game.
You guys really gave a Hemi award to a fucking punter?
Which punter?
Thomas Morstead. Because, they Giants and Jets punted like 30 times yesterday.
It was 24 times to be exact.
Oh, there you go.
I knew that stat was going to come in handy today.
Yeah, that game has a lot to talk about. But nothing crazy in college football, at least. Oklahoma losing was the craziest thing of the week. Michigan had off, so they got to continue the witch hunt of Jim Harbaugh.
What do you think? Like, you think if something comes out, he's just like, fuck it, I'm out, and does go to the NFL?
I think he's out. I think once the season's over, he's out. This is a witch hunt. I mean, this is straight up a witch hunt. The stupid COVID thing from 2020, then now this in the same season, and then and I'm not trying to be that guy, but as Colin Cowherd said, if this was coming out of Purdue, no one would give a damn.
Right. Even all the other coaches, like you're hearing it from the other coaches, are like, well, every coach feels signs.
Yeah, and what's his name? The Matt Rule after a Nebraska game goes, we all do it. He goes, I'm not going to come up here and badmouth a guy. He goes, we all do it. He goes, you can literally. He goes, you can see the signs on TV. Yeah. Because the fans can steal signs, and I was like, yeah, no, I just don't get it. I received a bonus bet for tonight's game. Let me put it in. This is impossible to figure out anything for this game. But no, I don't know. I know a lot of the old heads are all upset and getting all pissy about Jim Harbaugh and crap, and it's just dumb. I hope he comes to the NFL because I actually think he could wreak havoc in the NFL with the right team.
Yeah, I think if he gets the right job, I think that's the key, right? Like, you have to find the right job opening.
I would love him in LA. I was hoping they would lose yesterday really bad.
The more I think about that, I'm like, yeah, I hope that comes too.
I honestly don't think I honestly thought they were going to lose. I think my honest pick for the Bears was just a hopeful pick, hoping that would be because losing to the Bears while you're a 9-point favorite at home. If that wasn't, like you said yesterday, if that wasn't the straw that broke the back for him to be fired, then I don't know what would have been.
Yeah, and instead, Justin Herbert comes out and looks like a god.
And Bagnett looked horrendous.
Yeah.
So.
But I think he already got the nod for the Week 9 start, I believe.
Probably. I mean, he's an undrafted Division II quarterback. You got to give him some time. He's not going to be good every game. He was good week 1. The first game, he was rough this week. We'll see what happens. But we'll get to that when we get to that one. But I'm just doing this stupid free bet I got. How good are the Raiders against the run? Probably not pretty good. I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs.
The Raiders against the run?
Yeah. Taking Jahmyr Gibbs in this DraftKings thing. So
let's see. They are the defense, rushing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're 8 from the bottom, giving up 129 yards a game.
So 23rd?
Yeah. 23rd.
Okay, I'll take it. Jahmyr Gibbs for 70 yards. It's possible.
Detroit is second. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Raiders aren't running the ball well tonight.
Josh Jacobs hasn't run the ball all year, except for one game. So that's fine. I don't know if it was his time off or if he's just bottoming out, but it's been disappointing to watch Josh Jacobs this season.
Yeah, it really has. Especially after making all that stink in the offseason, right?
Yep. Glad I traded him in every league, except for in one league when the season started, I traded somebody to get him, and I'm not going to say who because I just sound retarded. But I don't know. Glad I got rid of him.
Yeah, rushing yards per game, they're dead last in the NFL.
Yep. Doesn't shock me. What's good, Saif? How you doing, buddy?
Hello, Saif.
How are things for you today? But in other sports news, before we head to football, I don't know why, but the police are investigating the death of Adam Johnson.
Really?
I don't understand why. But it came out today that police are investigating it. So I think that's kind of interesting. I was very unfortunate. TikTok, somebody somehow got the video up on TikTok of what happened, and I did not want to watch it, but I was like, this isn't real, right? And then I watched it, and I was like, that was fucking disgusting. And it made me feel sick.
Yeah, when you get cut like that, it just kind of it's with your pulse. I mean, it's just
No, watching that video made me. I just felt terrible and sick and But anyway, in other sports news, we have this coming Sunday is the championship in NASCAR. The Final Four were set in Martinsville this weekend with Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and William Byron being the Final Four that can win the title next Sunday in Phoenix. So it wasn't exciting. I don't know. Martinsville's normally a really exciting track. It was really exciting Saturday. I was literally standing at one point yelling at it. But Sunday night, not so much. But oh well. We got a lot to talk about football because yesterday was the injury bug week. It happens every year. It finally happened. Everybody got hurt.
Oh.
We're not going to get through a game without talking about someone getting injured. I'm pretty sure at least in every game someone got hurt. Before we actually go into the games, I guess we should mention Leonard Williams traded to the Seahawks. What a move by Seattle.
That's a good move for them.
What a move for Seattle. You get the top of the division, and you go out, and while you're at the top of the division, you go out and get yourself the guy you need the most, Leonard Williams. What a move. Second-round pick and I think a fifth or a fourth.
And the Giants, I believe, are eating the salary or something like that.
Yes, they are indeed. So, what a move. I 100% respect the Seahawks for being aggressive here. They were not on my list of teams I thought were actually going to make a move. When they signed Frank Clark, I was like, that's a Seattle move. Just go ahead and sign a free agent and call it good. But good for them.
Yeah.
And then what you sent me, Leonard Fournette signs with the Bills. I don't know if something's wrong with James Cook or if they just want depth. But
Yeah, it just said that he was signed to the practice squad pending a physical. Other
that
than
he's
that,
not 300 pounds like he was last year.
yeah, seriously, right? The Los Angeles Rams did make a move. They signed John Wolford, the quarterback from the Buccaneers practice squad.
Yeah, I think that's a clear. I don't know. Maybe I'm overlooking into it, but I think that's a glaring sign of the injury that we might have to talk about when we get to that game because I don't know the significance. I haven't heard anything definitive, but Stafford not breaking his thumb, jamming his thumb. I don't know. I got to look into it. I couldn't remember if I heard breaking or not broken out of Rappaport's mouth today when I was watching him on NFL Network. But let's just get down to it. Bucks, Bills, Thursday night. We didn't even talk about it at all yesterday. We waited till tonight, which is good.
Yeah.
Any moves? The only move so far we just said was Leonard Williams. That's the only trade move so far since the Eagles got Kevin Byard. But other than that, Leonard Williams is the only one so far. But you have till tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, so there's a good chance the Commanders make two moves before tomorrow's deadline. They're the only team I know that probably gets a deal done. Commanders were receiving calls about Jamar Chase and Montez Sweat, and now today they actually started making calls to move not Jamar Chase. I did it again.
Chase Young
and Montez Sweat. So the Commanders went out and called people today about it instead of actually waiting. So that's significant because that means they're done trying to wait for people to call them. They want to move them.
Nerds. Okay, listen. Second place.
Oh, here you go. 2 hours ago, I didn't see this. Not that this is a big name. The Falcons traded for Eagles defensive tackles Kentavious Street with a late pick swap.
I don't even have that on the NFL News Roundup right now, so that must have been fairly...
Yeah, it says 2 hours ago Rappaport tweeted it. That's just where I went to see if anything else has happened. So there you go. That's the only other big move, or not big move, but move worth that's happened so far. Yeah, I'm not Bills Bucks. I don't even remember much of the game except for I turned it off after the Bucks went down significantly. Like the Bills were up by 2 scores, and I was like, they're going to dominate now.
Dude, if Godwin turns around like half a second sooner, they tie the game on a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the replays I saw, the Bucks actually tried to make a hell of a comeback. But I don't know. I still don't know if I believe Buffalo is legitimately a top 5 team.
Buffalo
top 10 team.
Buffalo and Dallas are similar to me, with Buffalo being slightly more consistent on what they do well. But
yeah, I think if it came down to it, like
roller coaster teams, like week to week, you just don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I trust Josh Allen, Dak, but at the same time, I also trust Josh Allen to turn the ball over more than Dak. So I don't know.
I don't know. It depends on the week. I mean, we had Josh with a 3 turnover night. We had Dak with a 3 turnover night. I think each of them had a fumble in those games. So it's like it might be basically the same thing. You know, yeah. I feel like Buffalo travels better. Except when you take them to London.
Yeah, well, that's because dumbass decided to get there on Friday. So
another defensive head coach. What do you know?
Josh Allen continuing his pace for 17 picks on a season. He's got 8 after 8 games.
Hey, listen. High risk, high reward, you know?
Yeah, it was nice to see Gabe Davis show up for the first time this season.
Oh, I know. It's like And I don't get it because he looks so good. So it's like, why don't you just have a good 1-2 punch every game? And it's like he only picks one guy to throw the ball to.
Yeah, I mean, Khalil Shakir really stepped up this game. I don't know where that came from. I actually thought he was one of the more underrated picks a couple years ago, and then they just never really used him. So I was like, eh. But no, I mean, Baker has come back to earth, as I said last week. But the biggest thing about Baker is he can be a good quarterback. Get him a ground game. In this system, if they just get him a ground game, I think they could be really successful.
Something that just takes the pressure, like gets you to 3rd and manageable instead of 3rd and long, because obviously Baker under pressure is horrible, right? Like
exactly, and you see what he can do with Godwin and Evans. So just get him someone to run the ball, like you said, to alleviate pressure. Set up play action. No one's gonna bite on play action against the Bucs.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, unless you line up Godwin or Evans back there, maybe.
Yeah, like. There's got to be some changes to this Bucs team. They're a team I actually think could have really benefit from a trade deadline move, but we're not going to see it. So,
yeah, could they call him, like, I don't know Wilson's status, like Jeff Wilson Jr.'s status, like even just something like that.
Yeah, no, somebody that Rachaad White needs to be the 2. He's not a 1. He needs to be your 2. So someone just get someone. But they're not going to, and we're just going to have to live with it. I don't know. I actually enjoy watching the Bucs play football when Baker's on because the offense is explosive. The defense is
a good D. Like they play well. They keep them in games.
Yep. But we're still sitting here waiting for something to change. So, but anyway, I don't know. I gotta see who they play next week because I forgot.
Tampa Bay plays the Texans. 11-5 at 1 p.m.
And the Bills play the Bengals on Sunday Night Football.
Hell of a matchup. I think the Bengals are very trending up right now.
I know our power rankings today. You're going to see where I have the Bengals.
Oh, I got they're fucking way up the list for me.
All right. First game we called yesterday, Eagles-Commanders. We both got it right. We both covered the spread because it was 7 points, and they got won by 7 points. Jalen Hurts hurt his knee?
I think it's been hurt, to be honest.
So
I know he came up limping, but, I mean, somebody said it, and I went back. It doesn't look like it's been right for a few weeks.
Appreciate you being here. Yeah, no, I don't know. He looked good though. He looked real good in this game.
And then we got Sam Howell performing on the other side.
He likes the Eagles. Remember last game? They went to overtime. He likes the Eagles.
Dude, he threw for 397 yards.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about this defense.
The Eagles D?
Yeah.
I just think it's becoming impossible to play defense in this league at a high rate.
I mean, Baltimore's doing it until the fourth quarter every game. Then they do what they did yesterday.
It's getting nearly impossible to guard people in the NFL. Like you can't.
Well, with the rules the way it is, you can't you can barely touch the quarterback. So you don't even try and wrap him up hard. You literally just lightly try and throw him to the ground.
Hell, you
can't physically touch a receiver or they might get a holding call.
Even if the receiver catches the ball and you hit him cleanly, they're going to say hit on the defenseless receiver anyways. So it's like, what do you literally, you might as well just put flags on him.
I know they think ratings are like all because of the scoring. I think the game of football is fun itself. I think the ratings are going up because our generation, me and yours generation, and the generation behind us just loves football. I honestly think if they let some of these guys play physical again, and get some defense in there, I don't think the ratings are going to go down. I just don't, especially if you at least look, if you want to protect the QB, fine. Figure out a way to make roughing the passer not as egregious, like literally land on the quarterback and you get a penalty. Like sometimes you can't avoid it. Like you got to remove some of that.
Make it somehow reviewable. Like there was one, I think it was last week. I think it was last week where the guy came through kind of uncontested. The ball got thrown. And apparently the rule is 2 steps, and he took one. And as he got to the second one, he didn't even tackle him. He just kind of put his hands
yeah.
up.
It was on Monday Night Football last week. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, how is that a penalty?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't even hit him. I don't know.
He just pushed him.
Yeah, and he actually let up on the push.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you penalizing him for that? He's doing what you're asking.
But the only thing that can really fix this defense that I actually the lack of defense in the league that I would love to see is just let the receivers and corners play physical. Let them body each other for the ball. Like, look, I get if they're, I get like not turning them and not grabbing their jersey to stop them or holding an arm down. But if they're physically like grabbing each other and pushing each other, like if both of them are doing it, let them play ball.
Yeah, I need to see Jonathan Finnegan Part 2.
So you need Evans and Marshawn Lattimore with lesser rules. Got it.
Yeah. Listen, just make it like hockey. If you're gonna do it, take the buckets off.
But these Eagles, I gotta say, I don't know. We're not doing rankings of players, but I have AJ. I think AJ Brown's the best receiver in the league. I know a lot of people think Tyreek Hill is. I honestly think AJ Brown is above him. And I'm not 1A, 1B. I think he is just undeniable right now.
I think you have there's an argument to be made, right?
I can't, like, every time AJ Brown's on the field, I'm more excited to see him than I am Tyreek. Because Tyreek, I'm like, cool, I get to see a fast guy. AJ, I get to see him bully people off the ball. And I just love it.
I do like the guys who can go up like big time contested catch guys and can just make it look like that's what I'm paid for. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And he still has the speed, obviously, after the catch to make it beautiful. But like,
and don't get me wrong, Tyreek Hill's a bit on the smaller side. That dude still bullies people off the ball too.
Yeah, but he can't like physically go up in the air and out, jump someone. Like AJ can literally
he's not really gonna moss somebody,
Yeah, I love watching AJ Brown, and I'm so glad he has a quarterback. We'll see what continues to happen in Philly. Like I said, this game was really actually a good game. The Commanders are so confusing. Every week, I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna get.
They're another roller coaster team. You just don't know.
But I am happy to see that the Commanders competed. Last game went to overtime. This game was close to going to overtime, so it was a good battle. But Eagles win 38-31. They get the Cowboys
Dallas, right?
Not in prime time this week. And then the Commanders, you're going to the game Sunday to face the Patriots. So there's those two. Our next one is Saints Colts. This was an interesting game.
Yeah. I expected more out of the Colts, but like, I don't know. At the same time, it was still a good game.
I'm curious how much longer they're gonna continue to let Zach Moss take carries from JT. I'm not saying he was bad. He was still averaged 6 yards a carry, but Jonathan Taylor was averaging 8 yards a carry. It's kind of hard to picture, like, with what Jonathan Taylor looks like right now. It's hard to picture him getting more these 50-50 time splits. It's literally almost even.
Yeah.
And I do think the Colts will probably have to turn that down a little bit, but I will give them credit. I think it was the third round. I don't know when they drafted Josh Downs, to be 100% honest. I'm trying to use memory off of it instead of looking it up. But they found themselves a true beast at receiver to go next to Pittman. I'm not worried about Pittman. Like, I don't think he's like, I've already seen people going, well, he had one good year and it's over. I think he needs his quarterback. Him and Gardner don't have the connection we saw him and Richardson have.
No.
So I'm not too worried about Pittman. But Josh Downs, I love what I see out of them having Josh Downs. I will say, I know the Colts lost this game, but I think they handled the Saints defense better than I thought they were. I honestly expected like 2 or 3 turnovers out of Minshew's arm. But the Saints, again, like you said about the Command, another roller coaster team. I don't ever know what to think.
Half the time you'd be right. They're 4-4, right? Like, we expected them to be better just because of the division, I think.
That and I felt this. I don't know. I thought maybe it's just taking time, but I really thought adding Derek Carr to the weapons they had was really going to be like explosive type offense. But it's kind of just still a chip it down the field, except for Rashid Shaheed, who can just do anything when he gets the ball.
Well, he almost feels like the right replacement. You know what I mean, at quarterback for like what they were doing, but obviously Sean Payton's not there anymore. So you kind of expected to see a little bit more out of Derek Carr, I think. And like you said, maybe it's just time. Like there hasn't been enough time, but
I think I just last year what I thought, like when I saw Andy Dalton, like most of the games, I felt like Dalton was doing exactly what Carr is doing this year. I just don't feel it's that different. And I thought it would be
it's not
big
really a gap. There wasn't a gapping between Carr and Andy Dalton.
But I don't know. We'll see what the Saints continue to do. 4-4 in their division. A game back or tied with the Falcons. I don't remember. They're somewhere.
Tied with the Falcons right now. 4-4 each. I'd have to look at the tiebreakers.
I ain't worried about that yet this early.
Yeah.
Bears Saints is their next game. So the Bagnets get the Saints. And the Colts get the Panthers, which we freaking are going right to that game. And we even said it. Watch this be the game. The Texans look like they're asleep at the wheel.
Yep.
13-15. Panthers get their first win of the season. It wasn't a great game to watch. I honestly thought C.J. Stroud was going to be really exciting in this game. He wasn't. Dameon Pierce still has yet to wake up. But, you know, Bryce Young, every time he was under pressure, did something I love that I'm seeing out of him. He just looked to Thielen. When he was under pressure in the pocket, he goes, "Where's my guy I trust?" And he found Adam Thielen. I really like what Bryce Young is slowly doing. As a rookie, it doesn't always have to be fast. Like, we don't have to see him take the steps. Like, yeah, Stroud, everybody's like, oh, he's only thrown one pick this far, and he was perfect up until last week against the Saints or 2 weeks ago. Like, I get it. But he's coming back down. You know, the Saints made him have a hard game there. And then the Panthers, he did literally almost nothing. God damn, Max Crosby is freaking fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And Bryce Young, I think, is actually taking strides forward. Every week when I watch him play, I feel like I'm still seeing a better quarterback than I did last time. So I think this team, if you're a Panthers fan, I know you're at the bottom right now. I don't think you're the worst team in the NFL.
Right.
I really don't. So I know they looked like it for a while, but their defense is starting to play a little more aggressive. I like that a lot, and we're seeing the development of the young quarterback. So
yeah,
they're getting there.
I mean, I'd probably right now, if I had to place them, I'd probably put them
higher. Well, we are doing power rankings, so
that's true. I guess
bottom five. I assume they're in the bottom five.
Yeah, but they moved up above a couple teams.
Yeah, for me as well. Houston. Just to, you know, what you're going to get out of a rookie, right? You're going to have those games where just nothing happens, and that's fine.
I think you'd almost expect the roller coaster effect out of Houston, right? Like,
yeah, the growing pains are going to happen.
Dallas or New Orleans, you're expecting that out of a rookie quarterback. You're not expecting
with a rookie head coach, right? Like, right. So I mean, you got multiple things going on, but they get the Bucs this week. The Houston Texans do.
That's a tough out.
And the Panthers get the Colts. So they're both going to be interesting games, to be honest. Man, we could have seen Bryce Young face C.J. Stroud and then Anthony Richardson in back-to-back weeks if Richardson didn't get hurt.
Yeah, battle of all the QBs.
That would have been cool. I don't even know if this game's worth talking about. 13-10 in overtime, the Jets beat the Giants.
They beat the cross-stadium rivals.
Where the Giants threw for, what was it, -8 yards? -9. -9 passing yards total in the game for the Giants. Tyrod left the game somewhere in the first quarter with broken ribs or something wrong with his ribs. I don't even know.
Yeah, he went to the hospital, right?
He's still there today. Yeah. So they said it's a freak injury to his ribs. He's also the guy who the Chargers punctured his lung.
I was going to say, wait, is this the same ribs that, you know?
I'm curious of that. Rappaport didn't report that, so I don't know. But the weird thing was that Rappaport came out today and said Daniel Jones was actually cleared before the game. And then they just held him out for Tyrod and whatnot. to let him get another week, I guess, to get healthy. But he was actually cleared the day of the game. So Daniel Jones will go this week. Tyrod will not be going. He's already been ruled out. So it will be Danny DeVito backing up. It's so weird to say DeVito in the NFL. Sorry. Tommy DeVito, not Danny DeVito.
The Penguin.
The guy was 2 for 7 throwing the ball with -1 yard yesterday.
Listen, it was no Desmond Ridder 4 for 4, 0 yards. Come on.
But this game was atrocious. Good for Zach Wilson at the end, putting 2 really good drives together. The drive with less than a minute to go get the field goal to kick the game tying field goal, and then they get drive in overtime. Granted, it was assisted by a very, 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 very bad Adoree Jackson pass interference. I mean, the ball was underthrown, so the receiver wasn't going to get the ball. But Adoree Jackson didn't know that, saw the receiver go look for the ball and put his hands up. So Adoree Jackson just tackled him with his back to the ball and had no idea that ball wasn't going to get caught anyway. So pass interference got called. They were right in field goal range, and they just went and kicked the field goal and won it in overtime.
On a winding kick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, how did that go in?
But Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson have actually fixed their connection. Breece Hall's become the number 2 receiver. That's weird as hell to say. In a game where they made sure he couldn't run the ball, Breece Hall hurt them in another place.
Take your weapon and turn him into a different weapon. I mean, right now, as a running back with his skill, if he just got better at catching the ball all the time, him and Bijan, like CMC and Eckler, like those guys would be just impossible to guard.
But the Jets, without Aaron Rodgers, no one would have thought this is possible. But without Aaron Rodgers, the Jets have moved on to 4-3. They're not winning pretty, but they're winning games, and that's all that matters.
It's a weird phenomenon right now that these teams that have no business winning games. I mean, I guess against the Giants, both of them kind of don't. Like, you would expect this one to end in a tie.
Yeah.
This one, statistically likely in overtime to end in a tie.
Yeah, if that pass interference didn't happen, I actually think it would have been a tie. But
yeah, I don't think
those 35 yards from the pass interference and went home with it.
No business winning that game.
No. Also, injury bugs all over the place. I mentioned Tyrod. Connor McGovern got hurt. I don't know the significance to his injury yet for the Jets, but that is their starting center.
You said the Jets.
Connor McGovern and Wes Schweitzer, their left tackle, IR'd. Yep.
And then defensive tackle Al Woods is out for the rest of the season with an Achilles injury as well.
Yeah. So playing in the Meadowlands destroyed a lot of people yesterday.
As for the Giants, they lost. Well, Jones has been cleared for contact, obviously.
Saquon went down but came back. He had 36 touches yesterday.
Who else are they going to give the ball to? They're kind of like New England.
It's just crazy. Like the guy who's you don't want to pay, you're willing to give him the ball 36 times.
And the guy you do pay is the guy who's actually getting injured more often.
And is not really an upgrade to your offense.
Right.
I've seen so many Giants fans going, let's just eat the money and draft a quarterback this year. And I'm like, yeah. Dude,
I believe they have an out. I believe they have an out after this season.
Yes, they did put that into the contract.
Not this season, but next season, I think.
I'm pulling it up now, but I think it's after the 2024. Sorry. So
right.
Yes.
Yeah, next season is what I meant, not like the current one.
Yeah, that'd be weird, right? Give them all that money for that long and then be after 1 year, be like, bye. Potential out after the 2024 during the 2025 free agency period. So yeah. Before the 2025 season.
Basically, they could draft a guy. They lose a year of essentially free availability, but if he's the right guy, maybe you start him like 6 games in, 8 games in, like Levis. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So so the way the deal works though is if they cut him or get out of the contract after the 2024 season, they will have to eat $22 million of that contract remaining instead of this is nuts. The final 2 years, his cap hit is $99 million in the final 2 seasons. It's 41, then 58. I would take
know who the
22 and walk
Giants
away.
GM is, but he's kind of he might have a hotter seat than Staley right now because that's a bit ridiculous if you ask me.
41 million in 2025 is what his cap hit will be, and 58 million in 2026.
Like, I'd like to look at like the top guys' cap hits in those years and be like,
Mahomes is 52. It said it in the article, so he'd be 6 million more than Mahomes in that year.
Ow. Ow.
All right.
That's not even fun. Like, I just like if you're an owner, right? And you got a checkbook. When you look back at that one, you're like, I should have vetoed that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
Fuck. What a waste.
All right, so the Jets, by the way, when I said they're 4-3, they're on a 3-game win streak. I just wanted to throw that out there because it's funny to say the Jets are on a 3-game win streak.
Okay.
And it has a potential to continue. I know what we saw last night. I don't want to hear about what we saw last night until we get to it because I still think it was a fluke. But the Jets, because we have to suffer through the Chargers on 2 primetime games in a row, the Jets get the Chargers on Monday Night Football next week. That's their next game. And the Giants, I actually think, no, they're not one of the bye teams. They get the team playing on Monday Night Football tonight. They get the Raiders next Sunday.
The Giants play the Raiders?
The Giants, yeah. And what'll be a barn burner. Daniel Jones versus Max Crosby.
Yeah, and Jimmy Garoppolo versus Kayvon Thibodeau. Like,
oh, man. Trying to see the next game we have here. Jags Steelers. This one kind of, I don't know. Mike Tomlin and Deontay Johnson claiming the refs are the only reason the Jags won the game.
Yeah,
it's
you
crazy
can't be,
to me.
I don't like that at all.
It's just crazy to me. Like if this was a 1-score, we almost won it game, but 20-10. Mitch Trubisky was terrible once he got in.
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky reminded us why the fucking Bears got rid of him.
You didn't do anything to stop Travis Etienne. He just went and had a day. Like, I don't know. It
was kind of a game you would have expected, like, the way the Steelers to play should have been the way the Jags played, but they didn't. And, like, it just didn't make sense.
But Kenny Pickett, so they play on Thursday Night Football this week. Kenny Pickett has according to Rappaport, it doesn't sound like he's going to play. According to Tomlin, and you can translate this however you want, the door is ajar for Kenny Pickett to be able to play on Thursday. That's the words that came out of his mouth. Don't know what it means, but the door is ajar for Kenny Pickett.
Right now it says Kenny Pickett will.
We might have froze on your end. I don't know.
At the very best, Kenny Pickett will be a game time decision for the Steelers Thursday night versus the Titans.
Are we on for anyone else? Since he said we froze, I'm smooth on our end.
Can we confirm? Yeah, I'm good over here too.
I'm going to Twitch to check because I didn't have it up yet. It might be frozen on Twitch.
Weird.
No, we're good. I see me. And you. I see us moving around. Yeah, we're good.
Well, if you see you see me, right, twins?
Yeah, we're twins.
I feel like kind of like the way I've been describing Kansas City. Like the Jags just barely do enough to win games.
That's exactly how I feel about both of those teams.
Eventually they're going to lose some of these games. That's how I feel. But I feel ETN is just they're like just relying on him to just eat yards, clock, and score touchdowns. And if they can get 2 or 3, it's good enough to win because they can hold teams down.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. They don't seem to know what they're doing on the passing game. Like, it seems like there's no identity. Every week it's something new all of a sudden bursting out. Like this week, Evan Engram became the number one. Last week it was
Well, it's
Christian
similar.
Kirk.
It's like Buffalo. You just pick one and you stick with them for that game, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't, like you said, there's just not consistency here with the Jags on offense. The defense is so good. They're just, like you said, relying on ETN, get them through the game. We'll see. I know they have a tough schedule at some point this season, but Jacksonville gets out of this game with a injured Pickett. I don't know what would have happened if this game was close at the end of the fourth with Pickett in the game. But oh my Jesus Christ. Is Jimmy G playing tonight?
Yes.
The Raiders turn over the Lions, and on the very first play, throws a pick.
Yeah. Well, did you see what happened last play where he went for the run and came up short by a yard?
Yeah.
He took a shot right in the back, and that's why he was hurt last game.
Yeah. He's also the guy I think he's on his big decline now.
I mean,
he's been
like,
very turnover heavy this year.
He would make a good backup, right? Like, he could fill in spots.
Hey, don't talk about Jordan Love that way.
Well, he's better than Jordan Love. Listen, he got to a Super Bowl, right? Jordan Love can't make it to the toilet bowl, so.
Yeah, I don't know if he actually has one in his house. He might literally just have a hole in the ground so that way he can make it. So Pickens was trying to talk shit about the game afterward, and I don't know if you saw that, but I thought it was funny that Wingard was like, in the future, if you're going to run your mouth, make sure you have more than one catch. And I was like, I appreciate that. Because, yeah, I mean, he had the touchdown, but other than that, he was held down to nothing.
Yeah.
And Deontay Johnson came back to relevancy this week, so that was good to see for all fantasy owners, especially for Deontay Johnson fantasy owners, because I know there's been nerves about him. But Pickett will be a game-time decision, as you said. It is a rib injury. Nothing was broken, so it'll be a game-time decision on Thursday for Thursday Night Football.
Just kind of while we're on the same topic, as going into Thursday, Cam Hayward groin limited, cornerback DeMonte Kazee hand limited, cornerback Levi Wallace limited with a foot injury, and Minkah Fitzpatrick will not play.
Yeah, he's out for a period of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Steelers are banged up and hurting pretty bad going into Thursday night against a short week against the Titans here.
And possibly a resurging Titans team? I think we'll get there.
We're actually on that game now. Falcons-Titans. Titans win 28-23. I was actually
Tannehill loses his job?
No, unfortunately. He should. There's no doubt in the world.
I right now I'd just be like, all right, false end. I'd be like, hey, Ryan, when's the last time you've been to Chicago?
I would ask him, when's the last time you've been to Minnesota? Because
I don't think Minnesota wants that. I think Minnesota might call the Saints and be like, can we get Jameis?
But they have to do something quick here in the next 2 days. I will say that.
Or what about the other one I thought of was Cooper Rush?
The rumors are they're just going to go and get who was the backup? Case Keenum. Reports are they're just going to go get Case Keenum.
Didn't Keenum play for them at one point?
He did. He's the guy who came in for Kirk Cousins a few years ago in the playoff game.
That would make sense then, because it's like, okay, you kind of know what's going on here.
Yeah, but all right, so Titans win this game. Falcons, I don't know if I'm assuming it was a benching. I actually missed what happened.
So it's still in the air about what happened. Most people are saying it's a benching, and then what came out after the fact was concussion symptoms. So then they switched it.
He was 8 for 12 for 71 yards. He was actually okay in this game. He also ran the ball for 26 yards. Yes, he fumbled the ball on the run, but he didn't throw a pick, which we're used to. He looked okay, Desmond Ridder, before he was gone. Like I said, I missed what happened. All of a sudden, red zone goes back, and Heineke was in the game. Heineke was serviceable, 175 yards, 12 of 21. You get these games from him where he'll be all right, and then you're going to have those games where he turns the ball over 4 times. That's why Heineke's been so in and out as a starter and backup. But I saw people criticizing this, and I think it's dumb, but I want to bring it up because it's been all over social media, and we try to keep up with everything going on in sports and talked about in sports. Jonnu Smith throws that attempted a touchdown pass to Michael Pruitt, and people were criticizing the fact that they used their second string tight end to throw to their third string tight end
on the play.
Blocking.
What are like? But why? Like, but why? Like, it's why? Okay, I get it. Like, because obviously I'm a Patriots fan and I have to deal with Bill Belichick being the smartest guy in the room at all times. But what the fuck are you doing? Like, I love when teams really complicate things that aren't that complicated, right? I'll bring you back to an example. You have Marshawn Lynch and you're on the goal line in the Super Bowl. Let's fucking throw the ball.
Yep. To Malcolm Butler.
Like, what? Like, okay. Smartest guy in the room syndrome. Like, you have a guy that's going to muscle anybody off that ball in the end zone. And you're going to set him up to fucking block for a non-quarterback to throw a fucking dirt ball. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, I just don't get it. It's like sometimes these teams just don't want to win games.
Yeah, I don't know. Arthur Smith, he's kind of what you said. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He has moments where I'm like, wow, he has a really good offensive mind.
But
and then he does things like this.
No identity.
Yeah, and he just doesn't seem to have anything to click ever. I'm like, you can see some smart plays, but there's just no – part of it's the lack of true faith in your quarterback. Part of it's the fact that you don't know. This team is – I mean, we say teams are inconsistent. This offense is inconsistent. I got to give – I'm not a Will Levis guy. I'm not one of those guys jumping down the Will Levis throat. And it's one game.
I can attest one game. You really despised Will Levis in the draft.
Yeah. I think he looked hella – like I said, I'm about to say, he is super impressive in this game because people don't know this. The Falcons had the 8th-ranked pass defense entering this game.
Did you see the arm arrogance on that one throw? He's like backpedaling, back foot,
yeah.
Throws a fucking dart to the back corner. Like, I was like, okay, so that's where his arm comes into play. Like,
you give me it? I mean, I'll take a pizza. I'm not fine. Actually, you know what? I want Taco Bell. Just give me Taco Bell.
No, I found a pizza I can actually eat on my diet. That's fucking phenomenal. I'm so happy about that. So thank you for bringing that up. I gotta fucking cook that in the next couple of days. But yeah, so not only did Atlanta lose the game, but they lost a big piece. No, it's a meat lover's pizza. But I do like broccoli on pizza. A chicken and broccoli pizza with olive oil instead of fucking pasta sauce.
Who did they lose?
Grady Jarrett tore his ACL.
And that's the move from the Eagles now makes way more sense, swapping a 6th for a defensive tackle. Got it. So, on the other side.
I'm not going to try it. I live in New York. We have the best pizza in the world.
They 100% do. Well, besides actually like little pizzerias in Italy, like the actual mom and pop pizzerias in Italy, but
I can get margarita pizza anywhere.
But the Titans, they have a problem, and his name, and I didn't think I would say this year. I really didn't think I would say this year, is Mike Vrabel, because I texted Dot about this, and most people might not know this. Tannehill played every game for the Titans this year except for this one. He has 2 touchdowns passing, 6 interceptions. Will Levis in one game has 4 passing touchdowns against the 8th-ranked pass defense in the NFL with 0 interceptions. He said today that Will Levis will start if Tannehill cannot go on Thursday. He is literally saying Ryan Tannehill is still our guy after what he just saw Will Levis do.
You ever seen the movie Any Given Sunday?
Yeah, of course I have.
Come on. Will Levis is steaming Willie Beeman. Okay?
Like, this is one of those teams where you're just so bad and your offense has been so bad. You just go with who's hot. He's hot right now. He opened up the game for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had 100 yards rushing.
He made
DeAndre Hopkins look.
He's 26.
I know he looked like the Texans D-Hop. Like I can't understand.
Thank you, Will Levis, for making sure that I had him on my bench.
How did the interview go? I had him in our league on our bench, and I might him and CJ Stroud now. I'm like, I don't know.
No, which you don't have him in our league. I have him in our league.
Mm-hmm. Nuh-uh. Is it Dots? Is it the other league that I have him in?
Yeah.
No, he's Will Levis is on my bench.
Oh no. I was saying D-Hop. D-Hop is what I was talking about.
Oh, sorry. I was like, yeah, 36 points.
I saw you picked
bench.
up Will Levis. I saw you picked him up. I was like, yeah, that's a good move, actually.
36 points just chilling on my bench. Granted, every receiver I had underperformed this week, so it didn't matter. Even if he started, I was losing.
My wide receivers performed pretty well this week.
Yeah.
Then again, I have CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill, so.
Addison did well, but Zay Flowers did nothing. Tank Dell did nothing. I was in a nightmare situation with my wide receivers this week. But anyway, look, the Titans play the Steelers Thursday Night Football. Reports are that there's a good chance Tannehill can't play on the short week. So
I sure hope
we'll get to see Will Levis this week. Most likely again, and this will be a good defense to see what he can do, right? Like we'll see him against the Steelers. But the Vikings, who the Falcons play this week, we don't know the Vikings quarterback situation. So I don't even know who is their backup. The guy they put in, Null.
Oh,
sixth round pick out of BYU.
Yeah, they better be looking for an option.
And he did not look good the 2-3 snaps that he had actually under center before we just gave up. And I'll get to why I said gave up. But anyway, those are the team's next opponents. It was an interesting game. I honestly was so impressed by Will Levis that I didn't even know the Falcons were still in the game. I honestly, with 4 passing touchdowns, I was like, oh, Falcons are dead. And I was like, oh, this was still a close game.
And Younghoe Koo's just becoming an automatic kicker.
Yeah, he's besides, I think right now, Younghoe Koo and Brandon Aubrey might actually be ahead of Tucker, and Bucker is ahead of Tucker right now. Harrison Bucker's not missing anything over in Kansas City.
Who's the other one? Who is the one who's on a super hot? He hit 4 from 50 plus the other day. Who was that? Wasn't McMahon?
Brandon Aubrey?
I gotta look it up real quick.
Now I'm trying to think. I'm looking through the teams because everybody played yesterday.
I gotta look it up because it's on our. I was looking at it in our league, where they.
Dicker the kicker.
Dicker's been pretty good. Not gonna lie there. Let me see players.
I don't
know. Kickers. Season leader.
Total bucks of pizza.
Well, what's funny is they cut Brett Maher, who was leading. Let's see. Fairbairn. Oh, I gotta show all. Can't just show free agents. Dustin Hopkins for Cleveland.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I mean, he just hammered them last week. He was literally just smoking them from everywhere. I was like, oh, okay, good. Yep. And then you have Groupie's actually grown to be a pretty good fucking kicker for New Orleans.
Shh. He's a Notre Dame guy. Shh. You'll summon her.
Oh no. Well, did you see that Notre Dame actually lost a player?
Yeah, their best receiver on the year, their tight end, tore his ACL.
Yep. So
Yeah.
he's just suspended his sentence, but forward. You know what I mean?
Well, he's tearing an ACL at this point in the year. He might miss a couple games if he goes to the NFL next season. So he's already getting it out of the way. He's just pre-letting them know.
Just starting it off automatic, getting the forward
he's
done.
Pre-letting them know. If you draft me, you might miss a couple games and I'll be Gucci.
You were summoned.
But next game, your game, Giant Patriots Dolphins.
My betting odds did not work.
I think you guys did exactly what I expected, but you hung in there a little longer than I thought.
Yeah, I'm expecting worse football out of them. Now they did lose Kendrick Bourne for the rest of the year.
I was about to say Kendrick Bourne gone for the year, torn ACL.
By the way, that's the 82nd best receiver in fantasy football as their number one. So, like remember, I was telling you about my conversation with a coworker. It's like Kendrick Bourne's a 1. I'm like, on what fucking team in the XFL? And honestly, what I think they should do is call up Kansas City and be like, "You want Juju back?"
Yes, Darlene, you guys can deal with Mitchell Evans being gone because you guys have the easiest schedule remaining in all of college football's ranked teams. Literally, of every ranked team left, you have the easiest. Oh, except for Air Force, but they don't count. Like, who gives a shit? They're Air Force. Anyway, yeah, you guys, I don't know. I think you're done at this point. Like, you are kind of just in that situation where you.
We're 2-6, and the Jets are 4-3. All right, like
I was gonna say, you're not getting a playoff run here. You're not getting a wild card shot. Like, there's no real hope for pushing to that. So, like, I'm just kind of like at this point.
I think, like, in my opinion, Mac deserves another year. But, like, you have to go out and do something on fucking offense. You can't just keep drafting defensive guys.
Yeah. The biggest problem is that when you guys draft offense, you draft linemen, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you're also still not giving him any weapons to throw to behind that offensive line. So it doesn't matter. I just honestly, I don't know. Bill Belichick is part of a problem because he doesn't know how to draft offensive pieces.
Yeah.
He's a great defensive coach and great defensive drafter, but just no offensive pieces come out of this team. It's not cold. It's hot. But
listen, it's fucking cold here. It's like under 40 degrees now. I'm mad about it.
Oh, I'm pissed. It's 50 here, and I'm still angry. I want snow, damn it. It's going to be 31 Wednesday afternoon. I'm hoping for like a random snowstorm to blow in, but it's not going to.
I look at my temps, and it says temps plummeting. I'm like, oh, no.
But, I think the Dolphins, they're interesting, right? They're an interesting team because they still, so far, since last October 7th, 2022, when they beat the Ravens, they have not beat a winning record team. They have only beat teams with losing records.
They're kind of like Dallas.
So I am interested because they go to Germany now. And those travel games overseas are always a toss-up, but they go to Germany now, and they play the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and I feel like being a speed team with the travel, like, people don't understand how air travel affects your legs.
I'm hoping they left today.
I'm hoping they're already, like, over there because you want as much time to adjust on the ground, especially with, like, time difference. Like, I've flown to California plenty, so like I've dealt with like a 3-hour time difference many times in my life. It can be rough the first few nights, so you're not sleeping as well. There's a lot to do over there, especially these guys. Some of these guys never been to anywhere in Europe, so there's like places they want to go and see and things they want to do. So it can be kind of a distraction filled trip. I just hope both teams have looked at what other teams are doing and getting over there early, because generally the teams that go later really struggle.
Yeah, and this is 6 hours forward, so like you gotta. It's a change. Douche Bank Park. I'm curious where the hell that is.
And yeah. So, but the craziest stat I think about this whole game, and I know there's not a lot there. But Tua has never lost to Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Like, you know what he does to rookie quarterbacks, right? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of weird that Tua's never lost to him.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I don't know. I don't know. I have a hard time getting excited by the Dolphins just because every single time I get excited, now I remind myself, haven't beat a winning team in over a year.
Yeah, if they run into Buffalo, they can't beat them.
Yeah, so like, what are you doing against the bad teams? Doesn't really thrill me because eventually you have to play the good teams, even if it's just not until the playoffs. You still have to do it. But they came out, they won this game. Patriots lose Kendrick Bourne. Trade deadline tomorrow. I don't think the Patriots are going to bother making a move for a receiver. I think they're just going to let it be.
I think they should unload if they're doing anything.
I agree with that. I think unloading is the move to make for a lot of these teams that are kind of sitting at 2-5, 2-6. I think any team under 500 could look to move some pieces because I honestly look at these playoff teams, and you look at it right now. I'm excluding Minnesota because I don't think a backup's going to get them to the playoffs because they don't have a ground game. If they had a ground game, I was like, it could probably work. But I don't think with a backup you're getting there. But I look at all the other teams that are sitting in playoff position or right outside of playoff position, and I'm like, every team, not the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Niners, the Eagles, they're all in this category. All need one more thing to get to that next level. The Eagles might have hit it with Kevin Byard. The Eagles might have hit it. I do think they're the closest to being as good as you're going to get entering the playoffs because you don't need a receiver. You don't need a running back. Your tight end is one of the top 5 in the league. Your quarterback's great. Like, they're good everywhere in Philadelphia. I can't think of a weak spot except for maybe linebacker because I just don't see that next step out of the guy. I don't remember who it is. It's Zach Cunningham and someone else. Cunningham's been great. The other one next to him, I still have a little bit of problems with, but he's a second-year player, so I'm trying to be patient with it. So besides Philly, I think every team should in the playoff chase could be making a move if they get a right price. And if you're the Patriots,
you might get some value out of some of these pieces.
Why not look and see what you might be able to get for someone, even like if it's Gesicki? Tell me the tight Bengals don't need a tight end.
Yeah.
Like, I look at some of these teams and I'm like, because Irv Smith is not great. I mean, he even had the fumble yesterday. So, like, I think there's some pieces that you really could get out of, like, all of these bad teams. There's not a team in the league that doesn't have a player worth going to get. Like, Budda Baker could be moved tomorrow. I know it's not going to happen, but he could. He was asking to be moved during the summer, and now he's healthy. He's playing finally. He's off the PUP list, and he's ready to go. Like, why not?
Right.
But who knows? But anyway, Patriots, Dolphins, 31-17. We just talked about the game. Dolphins get the Chiefs in Germany this coming Sunday at 9:30.
9:30 game.
And the Patriots, Dot will be there, seeing them play the Commanders. And what'll probably be a freezing cold game if this cold front stays here.
That's okay. I'm in a box.
Oh, okay. Flex on us while you're at it. Like, I don't fucking know what to say to that. All right. Man, if you were going to a Patriots-Chiefs game, you might see Taylor Swift up in your box. Vikings-Packers is the next one I've got, and all I can say is I called this one from the start.
Yeah, I think we were both like you with the Packers and me with the Patriots. I think we're kind of in the same boat.
They're playing with a backup. They're playing with a guy who should be a backup quarterback as the starting quarterback. He has moments where you see some potential in moments, and then the rest of the time you're watching him play, and I'm just like, this guy looks like a backup quarterback. It's not there. And some people are like, wait 16 games, be patient. He had 3 years to learn behind Aaron Rodgers.
Waited 3 years to see this guy. Like, what?
He had 3 years to learn behind Aaron Rodgers, and I gave him a couple games. In the first 2 games, he looked phenomenal. But you know what happened? Those first 2 games developed tape on what he looks like. And now tape is out, and he can't play football.
That was the whole thing that I wanted to say about Levis, too, is like, give him a couple games and then see what happens, because he could look that good now.
Yeah. Because my biggest thing is, and I encourage people to watch, when you watch the Packers, like, people are like, oh, you're being too harsh. Here's my biggest takeaway from Jordan Love after this far into the season. His first read isn't there. He does not know what to do. He freezes. When his first read is not open. He does not know how to adjust. And if you can't adjust at this level, you're never going to make it.
You can't win. You literally can't win without the adjustments.
It doesn't help that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon have decided to stop playing running back and just be useless piles of crap. They get paid way too much money, especially Aaron Jones, to be doing nothing. But good news out of Green Bay today is that after we paid Jair to make him the top paid corner in the NFL, we have now made Rashawn Gary the second highest or third highest paid pass rusher in the NFL. I don't know where we're getting this money. I assume Aaron Rodgers leaving just made everything happen.
Well, it was about 90 mil on your books that he stayed. So I'd imagine yes.
But Rashawn Gary gets a 5-year deal, so we get to keep Rashawn Gary around, which makes me real happy because you see what he is once he's healthy. He was a force in this game. And, you know, I got to give credit. The Packers, besides the run defense being like 29th or something in the NFL, the Packers might honestly have one of the best defenses in the NFL because they continuously are on the field and they're still only allowing 20 points a game.
Yeah, their offense is not saving them any time. They're not getting a chance to breathe, so they're probably one of the best conditioned defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, and one of the things that I said yesterday during the game, and I've said this before to you privately, but I've never said it on the stream, but like when your top player on the defense, maybe your top player on the whole team, Jair Alexander says in an interview after a game and goes, well, we as the defense need to step up and prevent even less points because our offense can't get us more points. That's a really bad thing to hear.
No. He's a team player. You know, he's not saying I'm fucking tired of this.
No, he's being honest. He says we as our defense need to do more, but he's also saying our offense could help us out a little bit very subtly.
Who was that? That was Allen from the Redskins, right? Or sorry, not the Redskins, the Commanders. It was just like
Jonathan Allen. I'm so sick of this shit. It's been 7 years of losing. Yeah.
So at least Jair's still on the. Well, we can do more, right?
Our defense can do more.
When does that good faith run out? You know what I mean?
He said it when they allowed 17 points in a game too. It was 2 weeks ago when they only allowed 17. I'm like, I don't know how you can do more. And Jordan Love threw 2 picks to set up a field goal. So like,
it's like the Jets defense with Zach Wilson, right? Where it's just like, we held the team to 15 points and lost by 5. What do you mean?
Yeah, but so the big news in this game, though, there is big news in this game. Kirk Cousins tears his Achilles in the game.
Yeah, that's brutal because I felt like the Vikings were making positives. Kirk Cousins is playing at an incredibly high level.
Third highest quarterback rating, I think, in the league right now.
Like he was moving into like MVP territory for a guy who everybody claims can't win a primetime game, and he hasn't been. Like, let's be real here. You look at the whole.
And he was doing it without Jefferson for 3 games now.
Like, had he not torn his Achilles, he's on pace for like 5,500 yards this year.
Yeah, he's been tearing it up. I got to give him all the credit in the world.
He had the turnover issue early. It's completely gone away.
They still fumble the ball every game, but it's not him. It's been Madison a lot. And then, of course, Jaron Hall gets in the game. The Vikings actually were on pace to go a game without a fumble, and then Jaron Hall comes in the game and fumbles.
Can't win them all.
I thought that was so funny.
And by the way, that was similar to what you were saying about the hockey injury. Them playing that in slow motion so you can see his fucking Achilles roll up into his calf is just, you're like, dude, you don't have to show it. Like, we know what it looks like.
Yeah, the time when they showed Aaron Rodgers in slow motion a few times.
I think I sent you the Rodgers video.
I was like, oh, my Lord.
Yeah, that's literally what happened to his, too. Same thing. And for all the people who want to make the argument about grass versus turf, this actually happened on grass.
On grass, yep.
You can't.
Green Bay is grass.
They're aging guys. Achilles become more brittle as you age. It's just. But if I was him, you know what I'd be doing? I would have called Aaron Rodgers last night.
Yeah.
And been like, who the hell's your doctor? You know what? Aaron probably called him.
He turns 36 this coming year, sorry. He won't be back probably. It depends on, like you said, the doctor. If he goes to a good doctor like Aaron's, he'll be back before the start of the season, but preseason stuff. This is too late to see even if they make a playoff run. We won't see him. It's too late in the year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance of him. Hell, the likelihood that Aaron Rodgers comes back this season is still very low.
I know he keeps talking about it, and I think it's funny because he's talking about how it's
if-
not probably going to happen until the
if-
playoffs. But
if you hear him and J.K. Dobbins, you might want to at least find out who the hell they went to as a doctor.
part of me thinks the reason the Ravens aren't trading for Derrick Henry is because of J.K. Dobbins.
I don't.
Like,
I mean,
I feel like they're like he might be back by the playoffs. Like, we don't need Derrick Henry.
I still keep hearing the argument. Dallas should just make the move. Give up whatever.
Did you hear who today might be calling about Derrick Henry?
Maybe. I'm not. I've heard a few.
Adam Schefter said the Falcons called to see what the price would be. Why?
What? No.
Why? What is Arthur Smith doing?
I mean, he's like, people say he's expensive. I think what they said was for the rest of the year he'd cost you $6.2 million, but for his production, that's not expensive.
Like, I know some people are like he would have been downturning. Well, we just saw him run for 110 yards. He's not downturning. Go get him.
If you put him in a system like Dallas has with Tony Pollard, then he doesn't have to take as much.
Honestly, I think the team that should go get him, if they really think they're a playoff team, because they continuously find ways to get winning seasons, Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh could use him wholeheartedly. Like, he's got to go to a team that's not going to be quarterback reliant. That's why I think like Dallas isn't so much quarterback reliant; they're really CeeDee Lamb reliant. But then it takes pressure off him. It takes pressure off Dak. God, the Bucks. I'm telling you, if you went to the Bucks, that's a perfect fit.
That's where I honestly want him to go. That was my bold prediction last week. I just don't see it happening. Jesus Christ, Crosby just murdered.
Yeah, I saw that.
He just murdered Josh Reynolds.
It's like, oh no.
Or is that that's Jamison Williams. Welcome to the league, bro. Good night, Lexi.
Oh man,
this kid.
I don't know how I saw a thing for like defensive player of the year, and he wasn't even in the top 5. And I'm like, what? Like Chris Jones at plus 3,300. I'm like, have you guys been watching Raiders games? Probably not, but
he's the whole team, man.
He really, he's literally a game wrecker, dude. The Lions can move the ball, but like he's breaking entire plays all the time.
Yeah. But while we get out of this game, Minnesota, the reason, so for those, like, backup quarterbacks can take teams to the playoffs. We've seen it before. But they have to rely on some part of the game for when they have their bad games because there's a reason you're a backup. The Vikings can't run the football. The Green Bay Packers are 29th against the run. The Vikings still couldn't run the football. That's going to be a big problem for them going forward. People keep going, well, they don't need to sell. They're currently sitting as a wild card team. I don't think they have what they need. I could be wrong. Maybe they go get Case Keenum and Case Keenum comes in and keeps them relevant. I don't know. This is one of those teams where I'm like, you could maybe not sell everything but if you sell Danielle Hunter, you get a 2nd round pick and a 3rd round or a 2nd and a 4th. It might be worth it. But I don't know. Minnesota going forward, we'll see what happens without Kirk. They haven't signed anyone as of today that I'm aware of. Actually, I'm going to check that before I say that officially. I didn't see anyone's name come up.
For what? The injuries?
I know if they signed anybody yet.
Who's this?
The Vikings.
I haven't seen anything on the Vikings.
I just scrolled through their team news. They haven't signed anyone.
Yeah.
So they're either going to make a trade or they're going to sign a free agent. I don't know.
What I have seen is they are, from what I know as of today, says they're working through different situations to bring in somebody to replace Cousins.
I've also heard Colt McCoy today.
Nick Mullins can return in week 10 with his back injury. But they said there's a lot of scenarios and that right now it's kind of open. They're discussing it internally with what to do. I feel like there's a lot more options than people think. Because I think the problem is that you also like Stafford could be lost, so there's other teams that might be looking really quickly at other options.
That's one of the things. Yeah, that's Stafford. When you get to that Rams game, Stafford's another really big question mark now with what the Rams might be doing at quarterback and what they feel like their season looks like, because they might be able to just say fuck it like they did last year and just roll it back up.
It kind of stops certain teams from being able to trade away their backup if they had to, right? Like, Kenny Pickett being hurt means that like you can't call up for Mitch Trubisky. Stafford being hurt means you're probably not getting Ripien or Stetson Bennett if it was a thought. You know what I mean? Like, it just limits the number of trades that can actually happen or deals that can go on and like kind of behind the scenes just to pick up a guy to manage some games for you. You know?
Yeah, and with Derek Carr getting hurt this year, I don't know if the Saints would be willing to move Winston. I don't know. Honestly, if I'm one of those teams, I call up Andy Dalton. I call the Panthers. I just see what I can get.
I mean, he's the best option on the market, in my opinion. Like, you saw
like the Vikings. If the Vikings could get Andy Dalton to throw to Justin Jefferson and
that whole crew,
Jordan Addison, and Hawkinson, like they'd be fine.
100%. I'd take that. It might take him a little bit to learn the playbook and shit, but he's a career veteran at this point. So like you got to expect he'd be able.
And we've seen what he is. Like, look what he did in the week he played for the Panthers. Thielen had 160 yards. Anyway, I got to say one more thing about this game, and I don't know if it's just because I don't know if it's just because of Jordan Love, but I don't know if it's just because of Jordan Love, but Matt LaFleur might be out of a job soon too. Because let me tell you what. And I'm not trying to be a negative guy here because I'm a Packers fan, but the fact that we had the ball in the last 7 minutes, we had the ball inside their 15-yard line 3 times and scored 0 points.
Oh, you guys are like the Chargers 2.0.
I don't even know how that functions. I just don't get it. But we play the Rams this week without Matt Stafford. Who knows who's playing quarterback, what they're going to do between today and tomorrow's deadline. And the Vikings get the Falcons. Again, we don't know what they're going to have at quarterback, so to be announced, I guess.
Right now, the Falcons are a 4.5-point favorite.
Rams Cowboys is the next game, so there you go. Matt Stafford hurts his thumb, bounces it off a player's helmet, and then it gets stuck in the face of the helmet too. That was rough to watch.
Dak to CeeDee Lamb seemed unstoppable.
Yeah, and Deron Bland now has more touchdowns than like 17 different receivers that we would all expect to have touchdowns.
He's kind of just doing his own thing. He's like, you know what? Take it back. And score another touchdown tonight. Again, the Dallas defense at home. If they could just bunny hop Philly, right? Like, they could win a playoff game.
I actually said today in Dallas, and I don't want people to understand that I'm saying in Dallas, I think the Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. Not just in the NFC, the NFL. They're unbeatable at home.
So when's the next time the Super Bowl is at Jerry's World?
They haven't announced one yet.
I'm just saying that might be their next best shot.
They might I mean, honestly, if they could get to the 1 seed of the NFC, and I'm not saying they will, but if they could get the 1 seed in the NFC this year, they could run a Super Bowl run.
They'd be dangerous.
Yeah, they play fast defensively at home,
and then you're getting a dome game for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, where is it this year? Somebody was playing yesterday, and they said this is the home of Super Bowl, whatever, 54 or whatever. Vegas? I think it's in Vegas, or was that last year?
Glendale, Arizona.
Oh God, it's back in Glendale. Okay, all right. But, yeah, I don't know. This game was kind of open and shut. Puka Nakua's hurt. I don't know his severity of his injury. He's listed as questionable. Okay, he's listed as questionable right now. The Rams could not get – I mean, he couldn't get Kupp involved. He really couldn't get Nakua involved. Stafford kind of looked all over the place. Even before the injury, he didn't look good. This defense is so fast at home. He was under duress the whole game.
They were just coming through the line. Like, they were untouched.
Micah Parsons is a Defensive Player of the Year caliber player when they're in Dallas. He's invisible when he's on the road. He's got to figure that out.
Yeah.
But this Dallas team at home, man, they're fun to watch. I don't like it because I hate to hear people like Skip. But
it's our year. It's our year.
But man, at home they're just undeniable. They get the Eagles this week in Philly, so we'll see them on the road. So they come back to reality again. Huh?
This is a true test.
Yeah, and it's a 4:00 game. I really don't know how they managed to not put this as a primetime because of how much they love the Cowboys in primetime. You'd think this was one of them, with the Eagles being the defending NFC champions. But, oh well. The Rams, they get the Packers. They probably have no Stafford. He's quote-unquote listed day-to-day, so we'll see. They say it's a UCL sprain. So we'll see. Again, day-to-day means who knows at this point. It could become week-to-week, to be honest, with his age and with his injury history piling up now. He's kind of getting banged up a lot, but he's older. He's taken a lot of hits. I mean, back in his Detroit days, the dude had no O-line and was just getting ransacked. That being said, this game wasn't really exciting, 43-20, unless you're a Cowboys fan. Otherwise, from the rip, it was just a blowout.
Yeah. I mean, it was Dallas seemingly is one of the best teams in the league if they get out to an early lead. Because then it's free fire on your quarterback. They're going to bring pressure all the time. You're going to make mistakes throwing into that secondary, who, yes, they're missing one of their best guys in Diggs, but at the same time, obviously they got guys that can fill in. Yeah. So if Dallas can get off to a lead, they are wonderful, especially at home. But if they're trailing, they are not in a good spot. If you look at the numbers between the two, like the differences between when they're leading and when they're trailing, it's bad. And again, you have to play better teams in the playoffs.
There was somebody. Who was it? There was somebody. Fuck me. There was somebody that's never won a game while trailing.
Never won a game while trailing?
They were talking about it this week.
Like a team?
Yeah, some team has never actually come back in a not a team, but a quarterback for one of these teams this weekend has never won a game in comeback fashion. And I can't remember who it was. It's going to bother me. It was on there. I don't know. It was mentioned this week during one of the games.
Oh, I'll have to think about that.
They were like 0-36, so it wasn't anyone that's been in the league for a while. Hold on. Oh, no, it's Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, the coach. Okay.
Kyle Shanahan's 0-36 while trailing at halftime, which I find very interesting.
49ers fall to 0-36 under Kyle Shanahan when trailing by 8+ points in the fourth quarter.
There you go. 8+ in the fourth. There you go.
I mean, 8+ is tough, but I mean, that's doable. I mean, that's a touchdown and a 2-point. Like,
yeah, it's crazy to think that it's 8 points is like the cap there. But Jacobs is hurt.
I can see it though. Yeah, like again, his team plays very well from a lead. They don't play well when they're tied or behind. The scheme doesn't work for it. It's more of a fast and loose when they're up. But when they get way too conservative when they're down.
I'm really actually excited to talk about that game, too, because
I've got an opinion. I got them way, way down now.
Yeah, I've got an opinion about it. But we got one more before that. Browns Seahawks.
Okay.
24-20, we get a Seattle win. It was a close game. Jake Bobo is really becoming something, man. I don't know. They're using him all over the place. I love it. He's not like a great consistent player, but they find ways to get him in the game. He had a rushing touchdown in this game. Geno Smith is starting to concern me with the turnovers. I know it's the Browns defense, but they lost Newsome in this game due to injury. And by the way, Myles Garrett leads the league in offsides. I think that's funny shit. He just keeps jumping. And I'm like, he's just hungry, man. He is ready to eat.
He's a scary dude.
But I don't know. Seattle, I think today trading for Leonard Williams maybe made them
better.
I'm sorry, Eagles fans. I think they're the best team in the NFC. Geno's their only weakness now, and he's not a weakness. He's just not as elite as the rest of the team. Like their biggest problem was they had no pass rush. They couldn't get any pressure on quarterbacks, so their secondary was getting exposed. Well, they fixed some problem. And I don't know. Reek Woolen hasn't been as consistent this season, which I do have a little bit of worries about because it's a sophomore year, so maybe he's just getting, I don't know, exposed a little bit to learn what he's weak in or find his weaknesses. But Jamal Adams is starting to look a little. He's starting to look a little good at what he does. He goes after the quarterback. He's not good in the backfield anymore, but that's not how they use him. I don't know. I like what I see out of Seattle. We'll talk about rankings anyway soon after we're done talking about the game. So we'll get there when we get there. But Cleveland, their $240 million problem continues to be a problem.
Their $240 million, bench player.
So anyone here that watches football can answer because I would love a true, honest opinion. Because PJ was under 50% completion percentage in this game. Do you go and just hope Deshaun Watson comes back and you just go with him, or do you continue to let PJ Walker play? Because I don't know. Cleveland is.
Do you really have a choice? Because it seems like Deshaun can make all the choices he wants. Like there are no contingencies in his contract.
Yeah, they're stuck with him, right? Like
this is the A-Rod Yankees contract.
Get over there.
This will go down as one of the worst contracts in NFL history, if not the worst.
I think it is the worst.
And I just
remember they also traded 3 first-round picks. They also traded first for 3-round picks to get this man.
Right.
And yeah, there's no out. They're stuck. And dead cap is literally the contract remaining each year because they guaranteed all of it.
Yeah, like I said, I heard somebody be like, well, can you trade him? It's like, who the fuck is going to take that trade?
Yeah, especially since next year his cap hit on the salary is $63 million. Like, I don't know. I think the Browns are fucked. I like their roster is so good elsewhere, especially if they get Chubb back. Like they're so good elsewhere, they just have no hope at quarterback right now because he doesn't even seem interested in playing.
Yeah.
I just can't figure it out. I feel bad for the Browns and the Browns fans because they had hope. But I don't know. Seattle, continue to roll, continue to win some games. I would have preferred if this was a little bit more of a bigger win, but AFC, NFC games are always kind of weird. They do move 5-2. They are now atop the NFC West. They are second in the NFC behind only Philly, tied with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
They get the Ravens this week in Baltimore, so that'll be a very, very interesting matchup, to be honest. And Cleveland gets the Arizona Cardinals this coming week, and I have no opinion of that game as of right now. The next one, the game that we got wrong. This is the only game besides the Falcons-Titans that we got wrong in our previous pick before the season and our pick yesterday, and it is the Chiefs-Broncos.
You can't predict this. You can't. I mean, apparently they're blaming it on Mahomes having flu-like symptoms.
They can blame it on whatever they want. They got outclassed.
That is the perfect way for Denver to play games going forward. Russell Wilson is not a centerpiece. He's a complementary piece. Run the fucking ball down their throat, control the clock, and hit the big throws when you need him to hit one big throw here and there. Jerry Jeudy looked like a whole fucking different person.
Yep.
So, and then their defense looked like the suffocating defense that didn't give up 70 points to Miami.
And if Kansas City does not, before tomorrow's 4 p.m. deadline, make a trade for a receiver, they are hurting their chances at a Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're gone, but they're hurting them. Because we saw in this game that he just does not have anybody but Kelsey still.
He doesn't trust anybody over the middle other than Kelsey. He does not. Like, that's why I said, if you're going to do something kind of like, what was it, McCole Hardman that they just re-signed?
They went and traded a sixth for, but yeah.
Same thing. Like, go get Juju. Get somebody who played for you already. Like, you're not getting D-Hop. Best case scenario, you could get Marquise Brown, but you don't have the money.
Yeah, I
mean, if you want the money, what you got to do is go, hey, Patrick Mahomes.
Well, so Hollywood's on a contract, right? So, like, he's on the end of his contract. So if you get maybe a second instead of a third, maybe Arizona eats it for the season and you get out of it that way. My biggest thing here is Mahomes was very, very, and again, I get it. He was playing with the flu or getting over the flu, whatever it was. But if you're not feeling right and you're playing in cold weather like that, you're not going to feel any better, first off. Secondly, if you think you're going to hinder your team as the captain, you need to just take the game and go, I'm not going to be able to help my team in this situation. And tell Andy Reid, I'm sick. I don't think I'm going to be able to play well, and make a decision as a coach and the head of the team to maybe go to the backup for a game, as much as it would suck, because this game 100% was on Patrick Mahomes. 2 interceptions, lost the fumble, looked like crap the whole game. And I understand that Mecole Hardman dropped the ball on a punt, gave the Broncos the ball back. I get that Sky Moore missed a very catchable touchdown, but Mahomes made too many mistakes in this game. And
yeah, holding on to the ball long, but maybe they did. Maybe they had the conversation. They're just like, well, we'll take Patrick at 30% over Blaine Gabbert.
I guess. I don't know. I just don't like they didn't game plan for Blaine Gabbert.
Maybe
that would have been a hell of a.
Maybe they're trying to sell his cleats after. Like, Jordan had a fucking flu game.
But either way, I'm not terribly worried about Kansas City, except for they still can't run the football and they need a receiver. I mean, their defense did what they could. They were put in bad situations way too often.
Yeah, I think that's their thing, right? Like they either got to address both or at least one of them at the deadline here. Like, if they really want to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion, I get it, but they need like one more solid piece on offense.
Yeah, they turned the ball over 5 times in this game. Like, their defense is lights out. To only allow 24 points when your offense gives up 5 turnovers, you couldn't ask for a better day from the defense.
And they don't have Nick Bolton. Okay.
That was glaring, right? That was glaring.
Yeah. I mean, that was big, but that's not the end of the world. The defense still played well. Your offense didn't score any fucking points.
Yeah.
So I feel like they really need just one piece on offense that, like, Rashee Rice could be it, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, he had a drop in this game, but again, as rookies, you have that. And I was kind of like, if they're going to have a bad game, I guess get it out of the way altogether. Like, instead of one of you having, I mean, granted, the receivers have bad games all the time, but Rashee Rice has been good every game but this game. So I'm all right with it.
I mean, you didn't just absolutely lay a stinker. You laid it against one of the teams everybody puts terribly in the rankings, right?
Honestly, if they didn't beat Green Bay, would only had 1 win entering this game.
Yeah, I mean, kind of tough. Like, I'm not looking at this like, oh, Denver's righting the ship now, because I'm
looking at it as we've seen the weaknesses of Kansas City. Besides Mahomes' play, I still think that the running game has to come around, and they still need a true receiver for him to trust.
Like all the teams that have lost to Kansas City fail to do one thing: cover Travis Kelce. You don't have to cover anybody else. They drop the ball enough.
Yeah, but did you see Travis Kelce once again? His numbers without Taylor Swift once again show up.
Listen. I saw a meme today, and I almost sent it to you because we had the over-under. I looked at his numbers this morning because I didn't watch this game, and I saw his numbers
50.
were under what we said, and it was really the T Swift thing. Like there was a
58
meme.
yards.
It was Mahomes sitting next to Kelce on the bench, and that like it was like the bad lip reading. It was like, Travis, why couldn't you convince her to come to the game?
Because it was in Denver and there's snow and she doesn't want to do with it. She left Philly. Okay.
Okay, she's a pop star. Plenty of snow in that world too.
Not for her. She's a good girl.
How do you think she maintains that skinny figure? Let's be real here.
And to be real, unless she's heading to Germany, they're going to be without her again because they're going against the Dolphins in Germany this coming week. And the Broncos get the Bills. They get a bye. And then they get the Bills on Monday Night Football. Why Monday Night Football?
Why do we always get Russell Wilson in Monday Night Football? Like I feel like that's just like a thing. It's been like, oh, he went to Denver. We scheduled these for the next 5 years.
Damn it, man. But that's 2 weeks away. All right, we're all right. We got a week of peace. Broncos are on a bye week. All right, here's the big game that I feel very strongly about. 31-17, the Bengals win this game. Over the San Francisco 49ers. Joe Burrow looks incredible all of a sudden.
What was it, like 18 of 18 or like 22
at
of
one
22
point
to start the game? Like,
yeah, no, Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Holy hell.
Okay, let's be real here. This is the difference between being the number 1 overall pick and being Mr. Irrelevant, right? Like, come on.
He comes back from that calf and he shred this defense apart. I'm worried about the defense.
Did you hear I think it was Jamar Chase who said, somebody asked him a question. He goes, I don't know. Were you watching the game today? I think his calf looks just fine.
And he ran the ball well. He was breaking sacks. Like, the man was playing well. Look, Joe Burrow, if he's back, and this defense is insane. I slept on him. I denied him when you called it 3 weeks ago.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're sneaky good. And it's just like when they made their Super Bowl run. Like, they started off rough. And then all of a sudden, they just rattle off 9 in a row, and you're like, "Oh, how did I miss this?"
Did the Raiders' defense get good all of a sudden, or are the Lions just sleeping?
I think the Lions are sleeping. I'm watching this game, and I'm like, they can't move the ball well.
I'm very confused by this. But yeah,
the crazy thing is the Lions get down to like the 20-yard line, and then they can't move it. Like once the field is shortened, they're stumbling.
Yeah, 3 field goals so far, and this will be 4 before half if they don't get anything done in the next 38 seconds. But no, all right. Look, I'm all praise for the Bengals. Very high on my list. We'll get to the power rankings very shortly, but
give me 1 second. I got a puppy who's growling to go upstairs.
All right, but I gotta say it, Joe Burrow. Holy crap, man! He is very quickly climbing his way into this MVP conversation. He is carrying the Bengals offense. It's brought Joe Mixon back to relevancy. Even without a backup, Joe Mixon looked good this week. I was so thorough. I don't know. I expected, when I picked the Bengals to win this game, I thought they were going to struggle to win this game, but pull it off. There wasn't a moment where I felt like Cincinnati didn't look elite. So Bengals fans better be real happy. But I have to say it. On the flip side, people could say it's an overreaction, but this is 3 straight losses, and I am panicking for the San Francisco 49ers. I know some people are like, they'll right the ship, they'll be fine, they're just missing stars. Everybody's missing stars. You can't keep blaming missing players on the reason you can't win games. Like, if you're missing your quarterback, your running back, but how many teams are missing left tackles and right tackles? The Ravens won games without Ronnie Stanley. They cannot blame Trent Williams. The Ravens won 2 games without Ronnie Stanley. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And Debo, look, whatever. You can say, oh, we're without Debo Samuel too. Okay. The Vikings beat you without Justin Jefferson. Like, wake the hell up. Debo ain't Justin Jefferson. I can't. I don't know. I don't see it anymore. The defense is, I think, just tired because the offense can't finish any drives.
Brock Purdy's
And
turning the ball over.
Purdy has become a turnover machine. So
Can't hit
I
the
don't
long
know.
throws. I think, like you said, the Trent Williams Debo only goes so far, right? Like,
Yeah.
and they're another team. They're kind of turning into Dallas. They play well with a lead, but they do not trail well.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. It to me, it feels like Christian McCaffrey has to have an insane game, otherwise they lose. I don't. Sam Laporte a touchdown.
Dang.
My free DraftKings that they rewarded me, I took him today, so thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
Now I need an Amon-Ra touchdown. But no, I don't know. I don't know how you feel, but I'm panicking. We'll get to the rankings. We'll do top 10 and bottom 5, but I'm very nervous about the San Francisco 49ers right now. And I'm not saying it's all on Purdy, but he's got to stop turning the ball over. Yes, they need to get healthy, but every team deals with how many injuries a season. So I just don't use the injury bug excuse unless it's a superstar. But
and I'll be the first to admit, I look at that roster and I go, they got Pro Bowlers at every position. Like, they should not be giving up the points they're giving up.
Yeah. Like, losing to the Bengals isn't a bad thing, but losing to the Vikings.
I think the Bengals loss, like, okay. Like, I literally look at the Bengals and I go, they are moving up my board very quickly because, of course, when you look at their roster, they have Joe Burrow, they have Jamar, they have one of the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL, if not the best.
And we saw what happens when Joe Mixon plays well because he played well this game.
Did you notice how much faster he looked yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, his burst was unbelievable.
I'm curious if he was like nursing something through camp and early season, came out of the bye and got that rest he needed. But I don't know. I don't know. San Francisco, 3 straight losses is really hard to face because it's not like they get an easy schedule, being the top team in the NFC last year. Or second best team in the NFC last year.
I think they figure it out, but I just don't think they're as strong as initially thought. Like, obviously, those first game, I mean, blowing out Dallas the way they blew them out really kind of makes you be like, oh, okay. But then you start looking at like the way Dallas has played, and you're like, okay, it also makes sense. So I don't know what to make of the 49ers. I mean, we'll find out when we do the rankings, but
yeah, they're on bye week this week, thankfully for them, and then they get the Jags in Jacksonville.
Good way to come back and finally see what they are. You know what I mean?
Honestly, what both teams are. And the Bengals off of the bye, then the Niners, they get the Bills, as I said, Sunday Night Football. I'm finally happy for a primetime game. So,
yeah,
let's get it. All right, we got 2 games left before we do our power rankings. Ravens, Cardinals. To be honest, there's stories in this game that honestly are coming today. The Ravens, they had this game in control, and then in the last 5 minutes of the game gave up all those points to let it become a 7-point game, which is just insane to me. But they had it in control. They allow an onside kick. They get the field goal off the onside kick. They allowed a dumb touchdown beforehand. They were just playing terrible fourth quarter football in a game they should have just put away easily because they dominated this game until then. So I'm not worried about the Ravens. They just got to play that last 15 minutes. They just tend to sleep in the last 15 minutes of a game. Lamar didn't do anything spectacular, but he really wasn't asked to because the game plan seemed to be, let's just let Gus Edwards run the ball. So Gus Edwards ran the ball. I don't know if Odell's hurt. I saw him get hurt during the game, but I'm not sure if that's a lingering injury now to go forward or if he just got banged up and came back. Because Odell's not here. I don't even see him. He didn't catch a ball.
The catch he probably would have made. I think it was in the end zone, and he took it was like a 30-yard pass interference call. Like, he got grabbed pretty bad because I thought he was going to make that catch.
Yeah, and then his injury came on a ball where it was overthrown, and as he tried to let go, like to stop going up, Buda Baker was going up to see if he could pick it and just ran right into Odell in the air. Wasn't anyone's fault, just to play. He
Right.
did return to the game, so he did not get a long-term injury. So there you go. So the Ravens going
Just
forward.
before we move on with this real quick, just so you're aware, Jimmy Garoppolo is 3 of 8 for 31 yards and an INT in the first half.
Yeah, and it's still 16-7 somehow.
Jared Goff is 20 of 26 with 225 and a TD.
Yeah, it makes sense. Anyway, so the news out of Arizona is crazy. Okay, so Kyler Murray is apparently ready to be cleared or will be cleared. They get a bye week this week, Arizona. So there's a very good chance that he's back. The crazy thing is, because this was just a not expected to be traded. Derrick Henry is officially not expected to be traded. Matt Stafford day-to-day with a UCL sprain in the right thumb and torn Achilles for Kirk Cousins. Sorry, that just came up. So there's your insider update according to Ian Rappaport. We've given you all that information already today anyway. But Josh Dobbs has been benched. Even if Kyler Murray cannot go after the bye, it will be Carson Tune or Clayton Tune or whatever the hell his first name is. Tune will be the rookie, will be the starting quarterback for the Cardinals if Kyler Murray cannot go after their bye week. So Josh Dobbs being benched, another person I could see potentially get traded to a team like Minnesota. They might go, Josh Dobbs could work here for us as our backup to replace Cousins for now. Because besides this Ravens game, he really hasn't been terrible. Yes, he's come back to earth a little bit, but he's not bad.
No, and I mean, you look at what he's working with.
Exactly. So I am very curious about the benching of Dobbs and Hollywood potentially getting traded. There's rumors that that's heating up today.
Man, if I was a lot of teams, I'd be looking at him. You know what I mean?
And then Buda Baker comes back healthy, has a really good game, a really, really good game in this game. And he was one of those guys asking for a trade before the season started. And then he got put on the PUP list from an injury from last season. So you never know. He could be one of those safeties that gets moved to a team that looks at might be looking for a safety. I don't know who. I can't think of any off the top of my head except for maybe Detroit. But the Arizona Cardinals are just going to be an interesting team heading into tomorrow because they're the team that has a lot to give with people like Hollywood Brown and Buda Baker potentially available. People don't think about safeties as someone you go trade for, but a player like Buda Baker is a guy you build your defense around. So,
yeah,
a Jacksonville could be a team I could see go for Buda.
Not a bad spot.
But yeah, there's that game. The Ravens get, I said it earlier and I already forget, the Seahawks, and then the Cardinals have a bye. After their bye, just so we cover it, they get the Browns. So we'll see. And then the last game we have left to cover, Sunday Night Football. This is as one-sided as you can really get, 30-13.
And we finally saw Justin Herbert look like an elite quarterback.
Yeah. 31 of 40, 298, 3 touchdowns, no picks, not sacked, not fumbles, no fumbles. I mean, Austin Eckler could not run the ball against the Bears, but he led the team in receiving. Joshua Palmer got hurt, but came back in the game. But while he was hurt, Quentin Johnson got some throws and built a relationship up with Justin Herbert a little bit, which is huge because that's one of those relationships we need to see as a rookie continue to get stronger. Keenan Allen did Keenan Allen things, not anything spectacular in this game, but 6 for 69. He did what he was asked and just continues to put on consistent performances. I'm impressed by the Chargers in this game, but I'm not impressed by them long-term because it was the Bears.
Right. It's like you expect to see this against the better teams in the NFL.
Yeah, this was the Bears on the road with a undrafted rookie quarterback out of a Division II school. Like, there's just nothing to get that excited about in this game for me, for the Chargers, except for the fact that they won a game, which didn't excite me.
I mean, Eric Kendricks doing Eric Kendricks things, 9 solo tackles, right? Like, it just you look at the names they have on defense, and you're like, how is this team not better? And it's honestly, the defense sucked for a couple of games, but if you look at like the whole team, The offense isn't bailing them out. This offense should be able to bail them out.
Yeah, I agree. I also think the defense should be able to. It looks like even last week, I thought it was last week the Chiefs game. So no, not last week. The week before, I thought we saw pieces of the defense getting a little bit better. Part of it's I don't think they have a true one corner, right? They thought J.C. Jackson was going to be the number one. He doesn't work outside of Belichick's defense for some reason, and I say that because he's been incredible for the Patriots. He's only allowed like 72 yards in the 4 games he's been there already. He's been wonderful. So apparently he's just good with New England. I don't know. So they thought Asante Samuel Jr. when they drafted him was going to be a 1. I said in this podcast, because that was 2 years ago, so we were just getting started, but I said Asante Samuel Jr. is a 2. He is a number 2 corner, which is not a bad thing to have, but he is not your lockdown, stop the game corner.
Right.
They need to go get one of those because Derwin James is by himself in the backfield right now as your best defensive player beyond the linebackers, because no one's better than Eric Kendricks on that defense. I'm not even saying yes, he's better than Joey Bosa. But they need to get a number 1 corner. They need to get rid of Brandon Staley, and I think the Chargers will be okay going forward. Justin Herbert, I think, is going to continue to impress. I think he's going to continue to grow. He still has some weaknesses. We talked about it last week. I do worry about him when he's trailing. I do worry about him in clutch moments. But I think a large part of that is Kellen Moore and him are still learning each other. I think Kellen Moore will get better as the offensive coordinator, and you still have Brandon Staley, who costs you a lot of games with really bad play calls early in games.
I almost feel like it's that almost like paralysis by analysis, right? Like he hasn't had Kellen Moore, and so he's still stuck in what he's been dealing with. And you see that, like, he has the ability to make throws that just there's only a couple of guys in the NFL that can make that throw, right?
Yeah.
And instead of taking that shot to his number 1 receiver, he's throwing it underneath for a 17-yard shot to get out of bounds to kick the field goal. And it's like, bro, just take the fucking home run shot.
Yeah.
Like, you can throw that ball where nobody else can. Take the shot.
No, I agree.
I feel like they're a big play offense with no big plays.
Yeah, no, that's what I feel. I feel like they've been too conservative.
And that's what gets him into trouble. It's like, dude, I saw this guy make a throw with my puppy. I saw this guy make a throw with essentially.
You should hang out for the power rankings. I think you'll enjoy them if you can. Don't feel pressure, but if you can, hang out for the power rankings. We're there and after this.
So I literally saw this guy throw with essentially broken ribs, a 35-yard dart down the middle into a window that was maybe 2x2, and it was like, oh yeah, he made that and took a hit while he made that throw, got up and continued playing. So it's like, this guy can do it. It's like, just unleash him. Like, you have to. It's almost like they have him on a leash.
Yeah, so I think I agree with you, and I think the biggest problem is and I thought that about the Bears yesterday, to be honest, because when that game started, what did they do? The very first play was a play action pass where Tyson Bagnet threw a 35-yard bomb. And then they went straight to conservative little 5-yard dunks. And I'm like, what are you doing? He made that 35-yard pass beautifully. What are you doing? Like, if your guy can do it, don't go conservative. Like, let them play. I'm not saying you have to be air it out the whole time, but don't just take it out of the playbook. Like, I don't get it.
I feel like that with the Chargers too, like, you're 3-4. Like, you got to win some fucking games you're probably not supposed to win at this point.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull up their schedule before we go.
But I think this is like that Chargers mentality where as long as we don't look so bad, Staley keeps his job. And I'm like, the Chargers just need to get rid of him already.
Yeah. So they already had their bye, for a reminder. So here we go with the Chargers schedule, just so we can get into this real quick. They get the Jets on Monday Night Football this week in New York. Then they get the Lions. That's probably a big loss. Then the Packers. Then the Ravens. Then the Patriots. Then the Broncos. Then the Raiders. Then the Bills. Then the Broncos. To be honest, and then the Chiefs on January 7th to finish the season. To be honest, if they lose to the Lions, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, say those are the only 3 games they lose out, they still finish 10-7.
No, I know they're probably a playoff team, but
that's scary to think that they might get to a playoffs because they don't look like a playoff team the way they're playing.
Not right now, not currently, right? Like, I guess last night was signs of life, but again, it's the Bears. You have to kind of discount it. But like, if they look, even if they look similar and lose to the Ravens, okay, I'm okay with that loss. It's like San Francisco losing to the Bengals. I'm okay with that loss as long as you look good.
Yeah.
You have to look good doing it. Like in their losses to the better teams, they've looked terrible.
Yeah.
They've looked outclassed. Now, here's I think a very important game. And as weird as this sounds, okay? Say you lose to the Lions and the Ravens in what, the next 4 weeks?
Yeah, 4 or 5, yeah.
Okay. Now the Chiefs is the last game of the season, so if they're solidified, they're going to be resting guys.
Yeah.
I think the real big game, as weird as it sounds, is going to be the Bills game that you have at home. But the biggest one is going to be at Denver the next week. And the reason is, if Denver's going to be able to do that to Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes feeling under the weather, are you actually going to just be able to post up a 35-17 win?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They have a very interesting end of the season here. I don't even know if they can beat the Jets, to be honest.
Like Jets, so Jets, Packers, Broncos, Raiders, Broncos is 5 of their games. Like they should win all those.
I don't know. I don't know if they beat the Jets. I
don't know if they do either. The Jets.
That defense is so good. I
know.
We'll see. I don't know. Let's get to these power rankings.
I'm not betting against them because I picked them to like just beat everybody this year, so I'm just gonna stick with it. They're my biggest letdown this season, other than my own team, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, mine's this one too. Don't worry, I get you. All right, let's do these power rankings. Let's jump into it. We'll start with the top.
Are we starting
10.
at the top or the bottom?
Yeah, we'll start at the top 10.
Okay.
Give me your number uno, senor.
I went first last time. You should go first this time.
All right, I'll go first this time. And this might be a little lower on your board, but mine is a team that I honestly say it all the time, finish the fourth quarter, but I think the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the league right now. I like their quarterback play, their running back play. Their defense is the second in the league in sacks without a real pass rusher. I love everything I've seen out of them.
Remember my call at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Actually, no, they passed the Bills this week, so they're number 1 in the league in sacks.
And like I said, they could be a very high sack team. Like,
yeah, and it comes from everybody. It's just everybody
across the board.
And they're playing without Marcus Williams. For most of those people who don't know, that's their top safety besides Kyle Hamilton. They're playing without Marcus Williams, who's a top level safety in the league. He was ranked 4th by PFF last year. And Geno Stone has just stepped in and picking everybody off. So he leads the league in interceptions for the Ravens. So I just love what they're doing. They're playing ball hawking football. They were actually during the game yesterday compared to the 2000 Ravens. That I'm going to say that's crazy. That defense in 2000 is right there with the 83 or 86 Bears, whatever the hell it is. And then
the 2010, like the 2010 Steelers that essentially got the safety committee.
Yeah. They're doing everything, but the Ravens defense is first in like 4 different categories. They're doing everything right. Lamar Jackson's playing at MVP level. I honestly think their only weakness is they don't have an actual one receiver. They're a team I would love to see make a splash and actually just go get a top receiver.
Go get Marquise. Go get Hollywood Brown back.
I wouldn't mind that at all because Lamar and him had a connection, but I don't think they're going to do it. But
yeah,
again, they're my one. Go ahead.
I wanted to put them at 1. And it was
a large part of it's the way they played Detroit. I'll be honest. The way they just flat Detroit is just
they did flat truck Detroit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, and I think this coming week will maybe sway my opinion of what I have right now. But right now, unfortunately, I wanted to put Baltimore 1. Like, I've been so high on them. I wanted to put them number 1. I just couldn't. I can't just a second because until somebody fucking beats Philly, I can't. Like, I think this Philly game against Dallas is very telling. I have Philly as my number one team right now.
Yeah, I think I would have if they didn't lose to the Jets. That really hurt me. So I think that's the only reason.
That's like my question, because like Baltimore's losses have been not so bad losses.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, I'm like, it's division rival. You're one of the biggest rivals
one
of
of the
football.
best defenses in the NFL right now. Like,
yeah,
it was just an off. I feel like it was an off game for Lamar. Like, but Philly's still 7-1. Like, and it's like, okay, here was the other thing that crept into my mind was Philly does have a true number one in AJ Brown. So if you let them back in the game in the fourth quarter, they're going to punish you. They have too many weapons to not punish you. Now, the one concerning thing about Philly for me is the turnovers from Jalen Hurts. Like, it's not so much of a concern anymore for Lamar because he's been protecting the ball a lot better. Jalen Hurts is still throwing a lot of balls to the other team.
He has more interceptions already this season and more turnovers this season than he did all of last season already. And that is for Jalen Hurts. And that's another reason I have him down. Plus, Commanders twice, literally a 7-point game and an overtime game. Like, that has me concerned.
But again, in division.
Yeah, but 300 yards to Sam Howell. I was like, Jesus Christ, imagine if they play Josh Allen. Like, I'm just kind of like a little nervous. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. They're in my top 3. Right now, I have like concerns, I guess, is more of the thing. Like, they're like the Phillies. They're so home run or nothing. Like, I just kind of get nervous. Sorry, was that too soon? I don't know.
I see. I'm not going to go there. I
don't know how I feel about this Napoleon movie. I kind of want to watch it, and I kind of don't.
I feel like he's got to play a good Napoleon because he played a good Caesar.
Rude. All right, my 2. I said I have them high. This is going to shock the shit out of a lot of people. My 2 right now, because I based it on this week as well, is the Cincinnati Bengals.
I mean, that's a bold move, but I kind of like it.
They have a top 6 defense right now in the NFL, and their offense is unstoppable. Like we just said about Jalen Hurts, like they have a true 1, they have a true 2, they have a true 3. I trust Mixon if he's going to play behind this team like they are now. And if Joe Burrow is healthy, who's stopping them? The only weakness this entire team has is tight end. That is literally their only weakness.
And could they call somebody like New England?
Even Arizona. Trey McBride is lighting it up right now for Arizona.
Right.
With Josh Dobbs throwing him the football. Like, I don't know. I love what Cincinnati's doing right now. Granted, it's very temporary, but power rankings are based off of what you see right now. And what I've seen the last 3 games out of Cincinnati is a team.
We're going in 4-week intervals. So, I mean, you're going on a pretty good streak, right? Like, you got to look at it from what have they done recently? You got to look at the whole body of work. But if we're looking at Joe Burrow getting healthy, which, by the way, him running the ball the way he did against the 49ers, if he looked like that, I'm going to go and say his injury is now gone.
And I want to clarify, this week I could be proven wrong. I'm not saying that losing this doesn't make your playoff team, but if they come out and lose to the Bills, then I won't say they're a 2 team because they play the Bills on Sunday Night Football. But right now, I still think they're the second best team. And I know they're the bottom of their division, which sounds crazy at 4-3, but they're the hottest team right now.
I think the upcoming game is what stopped me from putting them so high, and I know I'm not supposed to base them on that.
You kind of, when you look at power rankings, you kind of got to look at their schedule ahead because, there's certain teams that are their schedule gets really, really rough. Like Kansas City, their schedule gets insanely tough coming up.
Yeah.
And I have to look at what just happened with Denver and go, are you going to get right? But anyway, go ahead. 2.
My 2 is your 1, the Baltimore Ravens. I don't, again, if I could give a 1A, 1B, that'd probably be it because I feel like you're just kind of poking holes where you can.
For the Ravens, I just think that honestly the receiver thing.
I think the receiver thing, I think they're fine at running back if they made either move on that offensive side of the ball. I could see both happening. Like I said, could you get Hollywood Brown back? Like that would be crazy. Or like you said, a tight end. I think they're fine. Just the way they are too. Like they might not make any moves.
Are you that far ahead of me?
And the defense is playing incredibly well. So I just think they're all around. They're one of the best teams, and the way, like you said, they beat the Lions. I mean, they beat the brakes off the Lions. It wasn't even close.
Oh my god! And of course, it's Marcus Peters pick six, my least favorite corner in the NFL.
So yeah, I just think they're playing top end ball, and good luck. I mean, if you got to play these guys, you better hope Lamar has a bad game, because if he has a bad game, they can lose. The fourth quarter thing is concerning, especially once you get towards better teams, playoff teams. But man, like they're just playing such good football. Like when you just do the eye test, you're like, that's one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I forgot to say their actual biggest weakness, and I'm sorry I forgot to say it because it's crazy to me because it's kind of like the thing in Brandon Staley. But their actual biggest weakness is that they are right now statistically the second worst special teams unit in the history of the NFL since special teams stats have been tracked.
Wow.
And that, when I said why it's like Brandon Staley, John Harbaugh was hired from the Philadelphia Eagles and Andy Reid as a special teams coordinator. So the fact that the special teams is their biggest concern has me a little concerned for the Ravens. I did forget to mention that because, like, if your job is special teams coordinator and you come in, you should be able to handle that. But statistically, they are horrendous on special teams. And you saw it with the onside kick. Nelson Aguilar, when that ball was lobbed up to him, he just stood there and watched it bounce. What is a football? You can't let a football bounce because it doesn't bounce directly to you. It bounces weird because of the shape of the football. And he just was like, oh, I'm going to let it bounce to me. Like he was the returner on the special teams. That was his job. He was one of the hands team members.
You ever hear Helga Pataki talk about Arnold's head?
Helga Pataki. Oh, man. I loved Hey Arnold. All right. My three, the Philadelphia Eagles. You're one. I love them. I do think their defense has given up a little too many points, and my only other concern is Jalen Squirts is continuing to squirt the ball to the other team. But it is hard to put them any lower than 3. It's actually impossible because their defense, the front end of the defense is unbelievable. The back end it's allowing some points. But that pass rush and that run stopping ability on that team, and then when you add the fact that AJ Brown is in my opinion, the best receiver in the NFL. And then you still get Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert to throw to as well. This team, they're the best team in the NFC.
Yeah. DeAndre Swift to hand the ball to,
and just keep him healthy. And that's his biggest concern is his health. So just keep him healthy, and that team will keep rolling. I'm 100% think they're the best NFC team, and I would have had them too. But right now, Cincinnati's defense is the only reason I put them above the Eagles because Cincinnati's defense looks terrifying. But anyway, all right, go ahead. Your 3.
Oh, this is a tough spot to be. I feel like this is. I'm really concerned about this pick, but I'm still putting them here because they haven't lost on the road. And it's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, at 3. Okay.
They're 4-0 on the road.
Yeah, that's impressive.
They don't have a loss away from home. Now, again, they're not convincingly winning games. It's like this one was like I felt like I was stretching here because I'm not comfortable. But like right now, you beat the Steelers kind of in a game where you had to play Steelers ball. They're 6-2. Like they're winning the games. They haven't been super impressive, but they're winning the fucking games. And I think, that might come back to bite me in the ass once we get further down the season. Like I said, once you get to playoff teams, it's a whole different ball game, right? But like I feel like Jacksonville, if they play it well, they're a good matchup for like a team like Miami.
Yeah.
You know, Baltimore's a tough one. Like if when I like all of a sudden I start looking at like my top 10, like they're gonna all play each other, right? And I'm like,
Well,
okay,
yeah.
who wins this game? Who wins this game? Jacksonville's a tough out. Like I said, they don't lose many.
Jacksonville. I mean, and like I said, when you look at power rankings, you kind of got to look at schedule. And Jacksonville, like you said, they only have 2 losses right now, and they only have 3 tough games left. They've got the Niners after their bye in Jacksonville. They get the Niners after their bye, and then 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, they get the Bengals, and then 2 weeks after the Bengals, they get the Ravens. And all of them are in Jacksonville. All 3 of those are at home.
Right. I'd expect them to win one of the 3.
Yeah. So, I mean,
think
they
one
could
out of
wind up
3
with 4 losses. If they
Right.
pick up only 2 of those 3, they only wind up with 4 losses. So having them 3 is not bad because their defense is insane. And
Yeah,
ETN has yet to have a bad game. So, like, why
Yeah,
not?
ETN's slowly moving into like top running back position in the NFL. Like,
Yeah. I
who
mean,
else
why
is
not?
he-
I don't. At first, I was like, wow, that's high. And now, like, you've talked me into, like, I'm like, all right, I see it. I can see it. I'm not saying I'm going to move them up, but I can see it for sure.
I'm not saying I'm not again, like I said, once you start putting them against playoff teams, you start having questions, right? But
Yeah.
right now, like I said, until they prove me otherwise, I think they're a top 5 team. Like they're just quietly doing it. I think that's what surprises people is quietly doing it. Like they're not wowing you week in and week out. Trevor Lawrence is having a middling season type deal when you look at his numbers.
Yeah, I thought he would be MVP caliber,
You know what?
but he has been very.
What do you have to fault him on the loss to Houston?
Which apparently Jacksonville just sucks against Houston.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, all right, not so bad. Obviously, I think I could have put a few teams here. I just think right now that's where they are because I could see it. Listen, I could see them beating the Bills. You know what I mean? Like Miami
Not
can't beat
that.
the Bills.
Yeah, no, I can see them beating the Bills.
You know what I mean? Like I just there's a lot of ways I look at it. Like who do they play? Who could they play? How would they match up? That type of thing, especially with other people in my top 10. So I just think that's one of the ones where I was like, this is probably pretty high for them, but all right, for now, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. My 4, Seattle Seahawks.
I like it.
3-game winning streak right now. No, 2 games, sorry. They just got better, which that wasn't even why I had them for, but they just got better by adding Leonard Williams. And I just, all right, have a good night.
Yes, have a good night. Appreciate you being here.
I just think their defense is only going to get better as the year goes on. You know, as the weather gets better for them up in Seattle, the way they play defense, it's going to get slick and wet up there and colder, and I think it's going to benefit them. I just think this team is and they travel well. Like I know, like we say that about other teams, but they travel more than any other team distance-wise because they're nowhere near anybody. If you think about where Seattle sits,
they're
the closest team to them is San Francisco.
They're literally the Pac-12 team of the NFL.
Yeah, like they just aren't anywhere near anybody, and they got to travel for every game, and they do well. And this will be a telling tale. They play Baltimore in Baltimore this week at a 1:00 slot, so West Coast to East Coast in a 1:00 time zone, and they play Baltimore Ravens.
Pete Carroll's been doing this for ages. He's got
and his record in 1:00 time zones is insane too. It's like I think he's like 14 games above 500. So
he's literally the opposite of what you think should happen.
Yeah. But no, I just have him for it might be a little bit of a stretch with Geno being probably the weakest quarterback that I have here in the top 5 because my 5 is someone special. But I like Seattle right now a lot defensively with even without the addition. I like Witherspoon and Week Woolen. I think Trey Brown has made some interesting plays in the secondary. You get Bobby Wagner there, man. Seattle is just so good in so many places. And then if Geno's having a bad game, you can still hand the ball to Kenneth Walker, which is like a cheat code. So I'll have Seattle 4. Go ahead. That's the first down.
I actually like the Seattle at 4. I don't have them quite that high yet, and we'll get there. This is where I have Cincinnati right now. again, they're just, they might be 4-3. Like their record doesn't tell the whole tale. But if you look at the way they played against San Francisco and you look at Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Higgins, Boyd. I mean, like you said, the only place they're really weak on offense is tight end. Maybe a second running back. And this defense, the defense is sneakily good. Like, it's so weird to say that about them, but it is sneaky good. Hendricks, he's gonna be a game wrecker.
And they have two linebackers that love to play game wrecker, and Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson.
Logan Wilson's another one. So it's like right now, record-wise, they don't look as good as the other top 5 teams. But when you take the eye test against who they played, you're like, all right, if Joe Burrow looks like that again, Super Bowl run again, like, I mean, it's not far-fetched.
No, I agree.
So I think Cincinnati has really moved up my board as a very, very dangerous team to play.
I agree. All right, my 5. I mean, I don't feel like I can take them out of the top 5. Kansas City. I don't love it, but they still have Patrick Mahomes. They have Mahomes and Kelsey and a top 5, top 6 defense. There's just
it's really hard to bet against them. Like, it just is.
Yeah. I know what this game was, and I know that they're still struggling at receiver and they're not good at running back, but Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce still get wins against every team except for apparently Denver this week. But like, their defense is better than it's been since Patrick Mahomes has been there, which is crazy to think about what he can do with potentially one of the best defenses he's ever had. So I can't put him lower than 5. I wanted to put him at 4 over Seattle, but that Denver loss really hurt me for Kansas City, just because unless they get a receiver, we see what happens if you have to force him to throw to someone that's not Kelsey in a game-winning situation. He doesn't have that establishment with someone else yet. So I just had to put him a little lower, because if I had to say Geno game-winning situation, well, Geno has built a relationship lately with Jackson Smith. So now he's got Lockett, Jackson Smith, and DK Metcalf, and he still has Jake Bobo. Mahomes still only has Kelsey.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to handle all those guys, you still have Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. So I just had to put him a little lower, just because I don't see the trust at receiver. But anyway, all right, go ahead. Your 5.
My 5 is the exact same. I can't. I want to drop them further. I can't. It's to me, it's a one-off loss. They can lose these type of games. It's okay. We're not used to seeing them lose these type of games.
Yeah,
but it's gonna happen. I'd rather it now than again with like my Patriots, who were 17-0 going into the Super Bowl. So again, they have the best quarterback on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard for them to take a loss like this and for you to be like, oh, well, they just drop to like 8. It's hard. I think their wins have been less significant to me this year than in previous years,
anybody, which is concerning to me.
So, but when I look at the receiving core, I kind of feel like, okay, well, you can have Patrick Mahomes, but you gave him the receiving core of fucking Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So outside of Kelsey, who's he throwing the ball? They don't have a guy who can take off the top, which was Tyreek Hill. They don't have a guy that can go deep down the middle. They have Kelsey who goes down the middle, but it's 10, 12 yards. You don't have that next step. You don't have that 20, 25, 30 yards all the time.
Yeah. Every time he threw the ball deep last night, or yesterday in that game, It was first off, it was 3 different people that I watched him do it to. It was the rookie who I'm blanking on the name, Rasheed Rice. It was Watson and it was Sky Moore, and none of them were comfortable, and none of them made the pass, like caught the
Right.
pass.
So
He doesn't have anyone to get that expand the field guy to right now, and it's concerning. And that's the only reason I have him at 5. Trust me, I think they're an elite team. Very likely they can win a Super Bowl, but right now they got to figure out the receiver. They have till 4 p.m. tomorrow, and I think they're the team that needs to do it more than anything. And that Chiefs fans all over my Facebook, and I have like 5 of them that I'm friends with. Shut up about DeAndre Hopkins. You don't want to pay him. You don't
you're
want
not
to pay
getting
that
Hopkins.
contract.
You'd be better off with Marquise Brown.
He's on a 1-year deal. Get him. And if you really think he works with Mahomes after this season, go ahead and re-sign him to a team-favored deal. Mahomes might restructure if you get him a receiver. But you don't want D-Hop. You don't want a guy in his 30s that's showing moments of decline.
Mahomes to D-Hop does sound pretty ridiculous, but
it does.
Marquise Brown is a cheaper, better option.
Yeah, and that contract for D-Hop was insane. And secondly,
like $18 million a year. You don't have that money.
You'd have to give up something more significant, I think, than you would for Hollywood. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to go with like Marquise, like or Hollywood, as you said. You could go with somebody else, like a little lesser. But I think if you want a top end option, relatively cheap, that's probably your best option. Okay.
Hold on.
You're gonna do your number 6. Let me use the restroom real quick.
Okay. You could also, real quick, Tutu Atwell, another name I could see them maybe try and go get, but I don't know if he can be your 1, so that's a problem. You got to have him as a 1, and I just don't think you can. The Bears are the other team I could see. Like, I would love to see DJ Moore with Patrick Mahomes, but I could not imagine what you'd have to give up after what they just got for him. Like, I don't know. I don't see the Bears doing it, but that would be another guy I would love to see go there. But we'll see. All right. So my 6 is Dot's 3. I have the Jags at 6. I love what I see out of the Jacksonville Jaguars week in and week out. I don't love that I don't see more Trevor Lawrence. Like, he's not great yet this season. He's just kind of, like we said, middling. But I think he can pick it up. It's not like he's not got the talent. He's not old. I just think he's just – I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's just trying to figure out how to get Ridley involved and it's messing with him mentally to try and add. I don't know if it's the lack of the offensive line isn't as good as it was last year. I'm not sure what it is, but I still have the Jags there because their defense has been playing incredible. Josh Allen has secretly and very quietly been playing Defensive Player of the Year caliber football. He's – like I said, with Max, he's there with Max Crosby. For me, it's TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, and Josh Allen. Those are my Defensive Player of the Years in order. But no one talks about Josh Allen. And I think he's playing that level. So I have the Jags at 6 because I think they're a ridiculously good team. Unbeaten on the road, as Dot said. That was another reason I love them at 6. And Doug Peterson knows how to handle playoff pushes and knows how to handle the playoffs and Super Bowl, which is another reason I love them, because they have a coach that understands the situation and can coach in this situation. And I've never seen Devontae Adams drop a wide open pass, but he just did it. But yeah, I like the Jags a lot this season. And we'll have to see what they do from here on out. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect out of them. Except for I think that I'm not saying expect, let me rephrase. They play the Niners after their bye. They get a bye this week, then they get the Niners. I actually am right now taking the Jags to win that game. I have more confidence, and I think that their offense is going to wake up after the bye. I think they're going to get things right. They're going to sit down. They're going to figure out how to get Ridley involved and make this offense look more comfortable, because that's my biggest complaint is they don't look comfortable. I feel like they're trying to force everything, but I think they'll get it right. So definitely my 6 is the Jacksonville Jags. Go ahead with yours.
Right now, my 6 is the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
Again, they beat the Browns. Tough defense. Improved to 5-2. They're one of the better rosters when you look at it. And if they can just continue with consistency, They have a lot of offensive weapons. They can put up points. The defense is getting better. They're kind of one of those teams where, like, I expect to stinker eventually.
Oh, 100%.
But right now, good enough to be there. Like, they haven't done what the Lions have done. You know what I mean? Like, the Lions just got blown out by Baltimore.
And are struggling with the Raiders, let's be honest.
So, I think Seattle, until they kind of, if they show me that type of performance, they'd slip. But for now, I think they're fine.
Yeah. All right. I really struggle here with 7. But I hate doing it. But 7 is Dallas, only because I don't think you can beat them at home. So I have to say they play half the season at home. So I think they're too good at home to pass up. I think they're going to lose to the Eagles this week. That's not my official pick. I'll make that on Sunday. But I do think they get the Giants, they get the Panthers, they get the Commanders, they get, those are all wins. They get the Lions in Dallas. Like, that's a game they could easily dominate with how they play at home. So, like they go to Buffalo in December. I think they're going to get their ass kicked in that game. They're going to play in a cold-ass Buffalo in December. I think they'll get their ass kicked. But all the games they play at home and then the game in Carolina, I think they'll come out with wins. And I think it's going to wind up leaving them at 12-5 and finish second in the division. And Dallas looks like everywhere but quarterback, I think they're elite.
You're not wrong there.
DeRon Bland has stepped up for Trayvon Diggs being out. He's just going, I got this. And I'm
He's
like, okay.
I'm just going to put up your numbers this year.
Yeah. So at first that was my biggest concern. I was like, wow, their secondary is going to struggle. And it's had its moments of bad, and barely beating the Chargers is why I think we see that they're not great on the road. They lost to Arizona on the road. They barely handled the Chargers on the road. I think that we've seen their moments on the road aren't great, but at home, they're the most dominant team in the league. I would love to see their spread just at home. If I could, I'll do the math and I'll talk about it.
I'm sure
Sunday.
you can find it or figure it out, right?
Yeah, I'll do the math and figure it out on Sunday, but I can't imagine how insane it is. But anyway, that's my 7. All right, go ahead.
My 7 is Miami.
Okay.
I'm like, I kind of thought about putting Dallas here. And I think, like, if Dallas got the right situation, especially if Dallas got him at home or on a fast track, they play
him in Miami this year to answer that, actually.
Right. So it's like, when I look at that game, I'm like, it's a very telling game because if they can't put the pressure on Tua, I think Tua is going to just absolutely tear them apart.
Sunday Night Football on Christmas Eve.
And Tyreek might as well. So it's just, I think Miami, a lot of people sleep on them defensively, which they're tough out on defense. They have some studs on defense. I
see with Jalen Ramsey back.
Yeah, I sent you that video today. He said he was getting a pick 6, not a pick field goal. I'm kind of disappointed in him. Like, I like the way their coach coaches. He's a player's coach. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, they improved over the way they beat New England the first time. They do have an NFL best 271 points. So you got it. My thing is, against the Dallas team, where Dak struggles from behind, what if Miami just puts up 2 touchdowns real quick?
Yeah.
Like, you're in a track meet with a team that's got, you're a track meet on defense.
And A-Chain will be back by then. So
and you're dealing with a lot of dudes on that offense for Miami that can just tear the top off.
Yeah.
So I have Miami here. I honestly think it's low, but I'm kind of weary of what the Bills did to them.
Yep. Speaking of which, my 8, the Buffalo Bills. I think that Josh Allen has had moments this year where I almost didn't trust his team at all. They're not going out there dominating anyone like I hope. But in the end, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, plus this defense, and now James Cook is becoming a top 10 running back. I just like the Bills, especially since we're getting to the end of the season where we're going to be in winter games in Buffalo.
I think they're there, right? Like, I feel like they're one of those teams that just survives cold weather. Kind of
they're
like
just so they're
the
really
way
good
Green
at
Bay
weather.
used to be.
Well, they still are, unfortunately, but we're not going to have any offense this year, so we'll lose games 10-3 at home. I hate saying that, but that's the truth. But I don't like
just quick break. Jahmyr Gibbs 27-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, well, my fantasy team is real happy. But I just I don't know. I was struggling with 8, but something about the Bills. Especially since, like I said, they're getting some home time now. I mean, if they go out and get stomped on by the Bengals this week, then maybe they're not a top 10 team. But I feel good, regardless of all their turnovers, that they can still be a legit playoff team that's going to be tough out for those top 5. Their schedule gets tough, though. I mean, they get Cincinnati, then they get 2 easy games in Denver and New York because they do handle the Jets very well historically. But then they get the Eagles on the road, and then a bye, and then they get the Chiefs on the road, then they get the Cowboys, then the Chargers in LA, then the Patriots, who always play them tough, and then Miami in Miami. Like, they have a real rough end of the schedule here. So I do have questions about it, but I would love to see what they do here towards the end of the year. But I'll have them at 8, just because, I mean, they have been a playoff team like the last 6 years, or 4 years, however long Josh Allen's been around.
Yep. Here's where I'm going to put Dallas.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think, again, if they can figure out, and I think we hit on it enough, is like they are just such a different team at home. It's literally a home court advantage. Like, they're just so much faster. Like Micah Parsons, like, you don't hear his name on the road. Like, you might hear it for a play. Right?
That's it. The Chargers game. And yes, it was a very big play. It was the sack that stopped Justin Herbert. But it was literally the only play he made in the entire game. He had 1 tackle, and it was the solo sack. That's it.
And that's kind of what you pay him for. Don't get me wrong. That's what you pay him for. But when you're seeing his production at home, and then you're seeing it on the road, there was a stark contrast.
By the way, he is statistically, of all of the people I said in my defensive player of the years, but even then, you just look at the top pass rushers, he is statistically the worst against the run. And he actually gets benched on run plays. He stands on the sideline during very prominent rundowns. He actually is on the sideline because they don't trust him against the run.
As to where TJ Watt's a goddamn Swiss Army knife.
And Myles Garrett will just eat your running back.
Myles Garrett's going to, in 3 plays, he's going to sack your quarterback, cause a fumble, and then block the field goal.
Yeah.
So I know people love Micah Parsons, and the Cowboys are America's team, but there are other options that are the defensive player of the year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Max Crosby's up there, and he's not even in the fucking rankings. Like
I said, Max Crosby and Josh Allen both aren't in the rankings, and it's confusing to me. Josh Allen is having a hell of a season in Jacksonville.
Yeah. So
Marcus Peters is hurt after his pick 6. That's good to know. All right, my 9. I can't look at tonight's game. I'm going with the Detroit Lions. I think the Baltimore Ravens really out-physicaled them, which concerns me because the Lions are supposed to be that physical team, so maybe they can get out-moved, and I just have concerns about it. But when it comes down to it, Jared Goff is a baller. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're going to get David Montgomery back here in the next couple weeks. Him and Jahmyr Gibbs now getting into his own rhythm. That combination is going to be dirty. They're a team I could see secretly go get someone like Hollywood Brown, or, again, I'll say it, I think that maybe a team might try and call and get again, why not call up New England and see if you can get Juju just to add depth, or Darius Slayton from the Giants to add depth, or Judy and Cortland Sutton. Like they're all options, and I'm very intrigued. But I have them at 9 because I think the Detroit Lions will shoot themselves in the foot at the wrong times. But I do think they're still an elite team. Their defense plays very hungry, which I love. So I have them at 9.
All right. At 9 for me. It might be high here. I'm not gonna lie. Lost 3 in a row. But still got the Niners.
Okay. I mean, they're going into a bye, so they can get it right.
I think they can right the ship. Again, I think you're starting to see the glaring weaknesses of this team, which is if the offense can't stay on the field, the defense isn't as good as we thought it was. But
I think the secondary pieces are a little weaker than we thought, is what I think is causing them some problems.
Well, if you watch the games, like Joe Burrow is, if he's not a top 2 guy, he's a top 3 guy, right? Like, but it wasn't just Burrow. Kirk Cousins did it to, and again, we talked
without
about
Jefferson.
We talked about Kirk doing it like he like people don't want to admit it, but he was putting up MVP type numbers this season. Like he had obviously some stinker games early, but I mean he righted that ship pretty quickly. So that's kind of why I feel like San Francisco can do the same thing. Again, a very physical team going into the winter.
Yeah.
Now they're a West Coast team, so the winter's different, but anytime they travel, they are going to punish you. Yeah. And I think the thing about the 49ers that they need to get back to is if they can get Brock Purdy back into the rhythm, they get Debo healthy, they get Williams back, CMC has good games, which he has. I mean, if you literally, by the way, I saw a crazy thing today. If you just bet $100 on a CMC anytime touchdown and carried over your winnings from the beginning of the season, you'd be up like 400 grand.
Yeah. Did you know? Did you see a stat line between him and Alvin Kamara's first 7 seasons?
No.
They're statistically only 0.1 yard off in almost every category from each other, and they have 2 touchdowns separating each other.
Who has
I did not realize how it's McCaffrey by 2 touchdowns and Alvin Kamara by 0.1 more yard. They're just so similar in their first 7 seasons because Alvin's been in the league a little longer, but it's crazy to think about how dominant he was his first 5 seasons because last year he wasn't great and this year he hasn't been great.
But
so like
he's also missed time. He's had some injuries.
Yeah, so to think about what Alvin did, just that's crazy. But anyway, no, I like them at 9 for you because they're my 10. I can't take the Niners out of the top 10. I just 3 straight losses. I had to slide them way down, and I think, like you said, the biggest thing I have right now going on for me for the Niners and why they're not higher, their defense has concerns for me, but their biggest reason for me is simply Brock Purdy's turning the ball over way too much. It has to be fixed.
Yeah,
and I know they're going into a bye, but it has to be fixed.
I'm not entirely buying. Like, I get the concussion symptoms thing, but I'm not entirely buying that either. Like, I think this is like what I said earlier. This is the difference between a Joe Burrow and a Brock Purdy, right? Like, one guy was the number 1 overall pick, and you look at these quarterbacks. Like, Mahomes wasn't a top pick, but he was what, 10th?
Well, he should have been a top, but yeah.
I mean, one team saw it and moved up and got him, right? Like,
and Trubisky and the Bears traded a first-round pick in next year's draft to move up 1 spot to get Trubisky instead of him.
Right. So it's like, but I think the glaring statistics are the one you talked about, which is like if you're trailing by 8, you can't win.
Yeah.
You know, there's those types of things that just kind of linger. They did lose 3 in a row. And I think that part of that is like they have been overperforming. So you're seeing some of that slide back. And people are like me are like, well, that shouldn't happen. Well, it does happen. It's the NFL. Like, people figure out what you're good at, figure out what you're bad at, and they make that distance greater.
I mean, Tony Romo said it on the podcast. I mean, not on the podcast. Sorry. Tony Romo said it during the game. It is a week-by-week league for a reason.
NFL, not for long.
even said those words because look what the Broncos did to the Chiefs. It doesn't.
What was it? The Broncos were 0-16 against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and Patrick
Going into
Mahomes
that
has
game.
also never lost a road game against a division rival either in his entire career.
What did we say the week before? The Jets
had never beat the Eagles in their
had
history.
never beat the Eagles in the history of the NFL, 12 games. So,
Yeah.
It happens. People have bad games. Now it's harder when you go 3 in a row, especially after you pounded Dallas the way you did.
Yeah.
So that's like the thing about like the whole Dallas is like, well, I have Dallas ranked higher, but they're playing better football right now.
Yeah. And the Niners get a bye and they get to get things right, I think, in the bye. Plus get healthy. Trent Williams should be ready to go after the bye from what I'm hearing. And Debo should be a week out. So.
I think we talked about it. He's probably the best in his position in the NFL. Like,
yep.
So,
you're 10?
Yeah. So,
all right. So who's your number 10?
So you had them at 10?
Yeah, you had them at 9. So yeah, I had them at 10.
Who did I leave off here?
Buffalo, Detroit. You haven't said either of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this was the one where I really struggled because I didn't.
Of the top 10 teams record-wise, they're the only 2 that are really missing.
Yeah, and it was really it was hard for me until they got beat the way they did by Baltimore, so that's why I put Buffalo here.
Yeah,
but it's like 10A, 10B again. Like I could slot either team in, Buffalo Bills or the Lions here.
Yeah.
And then I think just watching this game as it occurred made me really cement my pick for Buffalo.
Yeah.
The Lions are a different team without Montgomery.
Yeah, I just don't think they trust Gibbs to run enough. They don't run anywhere near as much without Montgomery, which is weird to me because Gibbs is electric.
But, you saw his touchdown run like just not too long ago. Like, just give him the ball. Like it's like, I don't know. Motor City Dan Campbell gets scared of him getting the ball.
You used a first-round pick on him, and you seem to be afraid of him.
Yeah, and we all questioned that pick.
Yeah. But no, I love Buffalo for 10 for you. I had him struggle. I struggled to put him at 8, but I just or 7 or wherever I had him. But 8.
I feel like the reason I probably should have had him higher was like what they did to Miami is who they can be.
I don't have Miami in the top 10. I don't have them in the top 12 because honestly, you can beat losing record teams, but if you continuously get beat by these winning record teams, I don't give a shit what you do. The way they looked against Philly, the way they looked against Buffalo, I was like, I just can't do it. I'm looking at their schedule. Yeah, they get the Chiefs this week. So statistically, if they can't beat a winning record team, I know it's in Germany, but they would lose that one. But then if you look at the rest of their schedule, they get the Raiders, the Jets, the Commanders, the Titans, the Jets. They're all wins. So then they get all these wins again. And then but they finish the season with the Cowboys, then in Baltimore on New Year's Eve, and then the Bills to finish the year as the last 3 games. That's 3 rough games, but I mean, I probably should have them in the top 10 because they're going to win all these games coming up, except for maybe the Chiefs.
But just because you have a winning record, like Dallas, look at Dallas. They're always like a 12-4, 12-5 team, and then they get to the playoffs and they get smoked.
But again, last year, what did they do? They started 8-0. And then they only got in by the last game of the season because they collapsed at the end of the year. Granted, Tua wasn't healthy, but still, I want to see it out of Miami. But if they come out and beat the Chiefs, even if it's in Germany, I'd be impressed.
You're looking for the statement win.
Yeah, I just want to see them. If they would have been closer to the Eagles, I would have felt more comfortable and put them in the top 10. But the Eagles again dominated them, and I was like, I don't feel it.
Teams that are physical and disrupt them off the line seem to be a very big problem, right?
Yep. But all right, bottom 5. Hold on.
I was gonna say, let me get there.
So 28th would be 5th from the bottom.
28. Okay.
Oh, I have the New York Giants. 20th. Their defense plays really well. Saquon's been good, but their quarterback is a massive, massive problem, and the lack of receivers, and I just can't, and they just seemingly can't get anything right. So I've got the Giants at 28. I won't go into it too much more than saying they just don't look like they can play football. I've never seen a team have -9 passing yards in a full game. Even when you guys threw the ball 3 times.
I was going to say, hold on a second. Let's check the stats here. Okay. I mean, you're not far off here. I can understand. They only have 95 points in 8 games.
Yeah, it's terrible. But their defense I love, so I just granted they lose Leonard Williams, but I did these before then, so I can't go by that right now.
All right. Man. This is harder than I think people think, is how to gauge
bottom 5 is the hardest.
The bad teams.
It's hardest.
Because there's literally 5 like you think of right off the rip, and you're like, but if they played each other, who wins? Right?
Yep. No.
Okay.
So,
oh God. I think this is a little homer, but I'm putting the Patriots here.
Okay.
The best of the worst.
Okay.
The same thing I criticized the Giants for, I had to criticize the Patriots for. They have 118 points this season. I think the more concerning thing is that they have slightly better points than the Giants. But Bill Belichick's defense has given up 208 points. Now, I know they're on like cornerback 6 and 7 at times.
Yeah.
But
and 3 pick sixes for Mac Jones. So there's
I mean, it's been rough to watch. They're a team. There's like what I hate the most about it is that they're a team that'll win games they're not supposed. Like they beat the Bills. Like right. Like you're not supposed to win that game. Just lose that game.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, they have it in them to win the games when Mac Jones plays perfectly. Like he played perfectly. And
no, I have them at 27, so I feel you. I had them one above the bottom 5.
Okay.
I feel you. I there's just some issues there. But especially after losing Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, now you lose, and I made these picks before understanding that piece, so like I think it actually gets worse.
Not that the 82nd best fantasy receiver does a lot, but he at least gives you a top guy. I guess I don't know, a guy to cover.
He's a number 1 on multiple other teams.
Yeah,
and I'm like, bro, I hope you don't play fantasy football. Like, I really don't.
All right, 29. I said it. I was impressed this week a little bit. I got the Carolina Panthers all the way up to 29. I think Bryce Young is taking those big strides forward. Frank Reich is their coach. I think he's going to continue to take the right steps with this team, and their defense is starting to get better each week. So I'm not saying they're a good team by any means, but I have them up to 29 after this win. They finally put a lot of things together, and I think they'll continue to grow because Mingo got involved, and I think that's going to be huge. But anyway, go ahead.
My 29 was your 28, the New York Giants.
Okay.
Like I said, I just slightly worse than the Patriots in my head, but like you're talking slim margins. Again, the offense, paying Daniel Jones the money you paid him, like at least Mac Jones isn't making that money.
Yeah.
And what's great about these teams is they're very similar, and they both have quarterbacks with the last name Jones.
Yeah.
So
I trust your Jones more than I trust this Jones.
Yeah, like if New England's defense was completely healthy, then I would trust their defense more too. I just think the biggest thing right now shooting them in the foot is the old smartest guy in the room, Bill Belichick.
Yeah. All right.
20 or 30?
30. I really struggled here with 30. But this is where I have the Green Bay Packers. And it all comes down to the stat that I saw the other day. They average 3 points before halftime. They're the 32nd. They're 32nd in the league in scoring in the first half. And I know that, they entered this week as the number 1 team in scoring in the second half. That's no longer the case. And Jordan Love cannot do it. He is not good. He cannot complete passes that he needs to complete. He can't throw to a receiver. I'm now being overly critical probably to my own team because the defense is so damn good. But Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon have gone missing. So with that, plus Jordan Love, and plus David Bakhtiari getting paid 2 years ago and then not playing more than 4 games since 2 years, all of that combined, I got him 30th. I just have no faith at all anymore. Losing to the Denver Broncos hurt. It hurt. Losing to the Raiders hurt worse. And then 3 times in the last 7 minutes being within the 15-yard line and not being able to score a single point in the fourth quarter against the Vikings, I just gave up. I'm done. They're terrible. They're fucking terrible.
I don't have them in my bottom 5, but they're just outside my bottom 5. They are literally the bubble team.
Yeah, I just can't do it. I just looked
at
it.
I just feel like they're at a point where they could actually win a game based on defense.
Yeah, especially with them being in the north, in Green Bay.
Yeah, I feel like once the winter weather hits, they're gonna put teams in a really bad position when they play them in their own place. So
yeah, but they're going to get the Chiefs at some point, and I was like, that's going to be embarrassing. I mean, the rest of the schedule is not bad. Lions is the only other hard one, but anyway, go ahead. 30.
Carolina Panthers. I know it's not a big win. They beat the Texans 15-13, but that's kind of like something that will help, I think, Bryce Young mentally.
And the Texans were on the way up before that game.
Yeah,
so.
The Texans were on the rise, and all of a sudden they come crashing back down to earth. And it's one of those wins where it's not a huge win, but it's like a confidence boosting win.
100% agree.
Pancake. So I think it's not going to lift them out of the basement, but it's, hey, we got a fucking win on the board.
Yeah.
I think for a team like this, like you said, where you see Bryce Young finally go, I'm under pressure. Where's Thielen?
Yeah. He found a security blanket, which is so big.
Yeah, especially for a super young quarterback, number 1 overall pick, where people are now questioning, like, should you have been the number 1 pick? Richardson's better. CJ Stroud's better. And all of a sudden, well, you just beat Stroud.
100%.
So I think it's a booster for sure. I think there's other teams that are sliding even worse. So not out of the basement yet, but improving within the basement is big for them.
I agree.
Obviously, pick-wise, improving out of the basement helps them even more, but it's just because they don't have their picks anymore.
Yeah, you're just taking away picks for the Bears, to be honest.
Which I don't even know if you really need to do. You could just not do that and be fine anyways.
Yeah. But no, I think it's fair. 31. I struggle with the bottom 2 because this is like just a toss of a coin. But 31, I have the Arizona Cardinals just because I think they're a little better in pieces. In certain spots, I think they're better, and they could beat somebody. And they actually beat somebody like the Dallas Cowboys. They've had other close games. So I think just you combo all that, I just think I have them at 31.
I don't mind them not being the worst team. I think what they're doing now makes them the worst team. So I'm like, I don't want to base it on
that. Plus, I think they're getting Kyler back.
Right.
Not that I love Kyler, but I think he's at least an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, with the pieces on offense, if Josh Dobbs can do that, then obviously Kyler should be able to do better, right?
That's what I feel.
I think everybody would feel that way. I mean, I'm not saying Kyler's a top 5 quarterback, but he's probably
somewhere
top 10.
I was gonna say he's somewhere 12. For me, like 8 to 13. So
Yeah. I think at worst 13 is pretty fair value for him. So I think if he actually comes back, they're a better team. But at the same time, what they're doing right now makes them a worse team. Like, I think Dobbs had a stinker, okay? But at the same time, if you just bench him, it's gonna be worse.
Yeah, I agree. But is that your 31?
Yes, that's my 31.
All right. So we're even on 31 and 32 because I assume your 32 is the Chicago Bears.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Even with Fields back, I still don't have any faith at all. And part of it for me is, and I know this sounds like people are going to say I'm overly critical, but part of it for me is you can't trade the 32nd overall pick in a draft for a guy, and then after you don't like him for like not even half a season, you trade him for a 6th round pick the very next season. That really bothers me still.
It's just bad management.
And I've heard rumors, and they're all like media rumors and just people claiming to claim things because they want to get famous. But I keep hearing people go, they're going to get Caleb Williams because even though Caleb said no, he won't come to the Bears. They're not on his list. People are like, what if they free up a spot and make Lincoln Riley their head coach? Then they probably get Caleb Williams. And I was like, they could do that. They could very well do that. But are they going to? They're the Chicago Bears. When have they done anything good in the past 25 years?
Listen. Whoever comes in needs to win and needs to win fast because I'm tired of hearing about the 85 Bears. I wasn't even alive then. I don't care.
Right? Exactly.
I don't care.
And I said it while you were in the bathroom. And again, this is just me being me, hoping upon a hope. But maybe, I know the Bears are hoping they hold on to him, and he's the centerpiece of their team now. But say Kansas City calls and goes a first this year, a third this year, and a third next year. Would you move DJ Moore if you're the Bears, even though you just got him for all those pieces, and then give Patrick Mahomes DJ Moore?
Yeah, why not? It doesn't. Okay, what do you care about helping Patrick Mahomes win a Super Bowl? You're nowhere fucking close.
And you're not playing the AFC. I'm not saying the Bears would move DJ, but honestly, if you're any team like the Chiefs or the Ravens, he is the team where you look at a team that's going, we're going full rebuild. Everyone knows right now they're full rebuild. There's a reason they made that trade to let them get Bryce Young down in Carolina and give up and got DJ in the trade, because not only did they get DJ, they got a first, a second, and a fourth. They gained so much draft capital just making that move that if you get DJ now off the team because he's going to cost you a lot of money, you gain a lot of draft capital back again while freeing up cap space. And that hit him. Jimmy G did not look good. He's still in the game somehow.
Yeah,
but that did not look good.
That looked rough.
Yep. But I don't know. Again, I know his name's not on the list, but it would be crazy amazing to see DJ actually get a real quarterback. Because if you look at the quarterbacks he's had, I actually posted this on Facebook like a month ago, and you look at the statistics that this guy has had every single season. He's had 1,000 yards every year of his career, kind of like Mike Evans. Oh, yeah. And you look at it, and you're like, he's had Sam Darnold, P.J. Walker, Cam Newton at the end of his career, and who's that guy that was Kyle Allen. Like, you look at the quarterbacks this man has had throwing to him, and you're like, how do you do what you do?
Yeah, I just catch the ball and win. But
I just can't imagine if he would have someone like Mahomes. Like, good Lord. But who knows? Again, that's probably not going to happen. All right, so we got to make a pick for Thursday, and then I got to end Sunday morning because I'm not going to be on before that. Reminder, people, Dot will be in I almost said England, in New England, watching the Patriots lose to the Commanders. So he will not be here Sunday.
You stop your hexes on me, Ricky Bobby.
So Sunday I will be here at noon. Dot will send me his picks sometime between Thursday and Sunday. So I'll have his picks and my picks for you. I'll answer fantasy questions, and I will give you what's going on in the 9:30 a.m. game in Germany, because that game will still be going on, especially
maybe the box has Wi-Fi and I can just do them right there.
But We will be good to go on Sunday morning at noon instead of 11:30. I will post that on our TikTok as I continue to add clips every week. I mean, every other day on our TikTok. So that'll get added there too. That being said, we're gonna roll soon. So let's just get Thursday and Sunday morning out of the way.
Thursday's game is
Titans Steelers. No Tannehill. Probably no Pickett. Levis versus Trubisky. I'm going Titans just because. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I don't know. Is it in Pittsburgh?
It is in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite. Pick them right now. 50.1 for Pittsburgh, 49.5 for Tennessee.
You're not helping.
I can tell you where I'm going.
It'll be 30 degrees but clear weather. Well, 36 degrees.
I hear 41 at game time.
Okay.
Over under 30. Over under 36. I think I okay. I'm gonna put a contingency on mine. Okay. If it's Levis, Tennessee wins by a touchdown.
Okay. If it's Tannehill, are you going Steelers?
If it's Tannehill, I'm going Pittsburgh.
All right, I'll put Titans for now. I'll remember that. I'm going Titans as well if it's Levis. Steelers if it's Tannehill. But I think it's Titans if it's Levis simply because he opened up the game for Derrick Henry. And regardless of how good this defense is, they are 26th against the run or something very close to that against the run.
I don't think Pittsburgh should be able to run the ball against Tennessee.
You can't run the ball against Tennessee, so yeah, you're correct.
I think I'm correct there. I think, like you said, Levis, if he's playing, will open up the game for D-Hop.
Sorry. Pittsburgh's 28th against the run entering this week.
Right. So I think if it's Levis with that arm, which he shows he has a fucking cannon, I think it'll be a very tough game for Pittsburgh. Now, if they can get pressure, of course, then it could be different. But I think the way Levis showed out, until he proves me wrong, I think they could be a team, especially if they keep Henry, which every sign points to yes at this point. I think this fucking Tannehill thing's a smoke show. They're literally just going to make it so that Levis can keep playing.
They have an out on Tannehill at the end of the season, so why not? Just end it now. Just let it be over with. Let Levis be your guy and just move on. And worst comes to worst, you know what? Trade him. Like, go ahead and let the Vikings, if they really want Tannehill, because I've heard rumors of that, make it happen if that's what really happens. Like, just do it. I don't know.
You just ask him, hey, what do you think about Minnesota this time of year? Pretty nice, huh?
They play in a dome. Yeah. You don't have to deal with Nashville cold. Jimmy Garoppolo has been sacked like 4 times since we started our pick.
I know. And he looks just worse and worse every time.
And the crowd is literally going to blow the roof off the stadium if this keeps happening. Yeah, I'll go Titans. All right, so Sunday morning is hard because we can't change our pick. For you guys, we will text each other if we change the pick, and I'll let you guys know. I write them down so you'll see that it was written down and whatnot, and I'll post it on Facebook so you know that we didn't change it after the game starts. But we're going to go with a temporary pick for now in case any injuries come up. Mahomes did hurt his hand in this game. I'm not saying he's not going to play, but traveling with the flu plus an injured hand, you really could never know. Right now it's not listed as a day-to-day, but you just never know. Dolphins, Chiefs in Germany. I've got no fucking clue, but I'm going to roll with Kansas City.
I am too. Right now, for sure, knowing what we know, I just feel like Kansas City can put pressure on Tua.
And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not changing my pick unless Mahomes doesn't play.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick against them in this game. Now,
and I don't know if I've ever seen them lose 2 games in a row in my life. I don't know.
With Reed and Mahomes, I'm not sure.
I'm going to Google. Has Mahomes ever lost back-to-back games? Here you go. He's only lost 18 games in his career.
Wow. He's played 7 seasons with 2+ losses. but I'm not sure they've ever been back to back. But they've lost 2 in a row at home. Back to back before.
His longest losing streak is 1 game.
Yeah, so he's never lost back to back games.
He's fucking nuts.
Dude, it's like a cheat code, right? It's just
he's fucking nuts. To think his dad is like MLB Hall of Fame level player, and here he is doing what he does.
He also could have been MLB, so
yeah. I haven't actually checked the actual thing. The World Series.
Oh, I haven't checked that at all either. Damn.
Yeah, I kind of blanked. 3-1 final. Texas Rangers beat the Diamondbacks.
That was in Arizona, the first one in Arizona, right?
Yeah, 2-1 series favor the Rangers heading to tomorrow's game in Arizona.
And Corey Seager, of course, hits another home run because he's the best playoff baseball player ever in a long time. Like you just get to the playoffs, he's like, nah. I might have sucked coming in, but I'm just gonna hit everything out of the park.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't believe the Dodgers ever let him go and kept Bellinger. I'm just so mad about that.
That's crazy to think about, to be honest. When you think about it now, I know what we saw in Bellinger early, but like
no, I know what you saw in Bellinger early, and then you knew the Trey Turner thing was coming, so you were just kind of like making room, and then you let Trey Turner go anyways.
Yeah, and you also let the guy who you could have put Trey Turner at third, and you could have just let Justin Turner leave, and they were like, "No, we're going to keep Justin Turner," and then you let him leave too. So I don't know.
Yeah, Justin Turner was that hometown favorite that kind of got the treatment.
Yeah. But all right, guys, we're gonna hop out. I don't think I'm gonna find anyone to raid, so I'm just gonna end it tonight. I'm tired. I'm really tired.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
We got a long week ahead of us. And real quick gaming news. We do a little bit of gaming stuff. New everything in Apex tomorrow. Literally everything changes. They get a new character. Map changes.
That might be what brings me back to gaming. I haven't played a game in fucking almost 4 weeks.
Massive map changes to Storm Point. Massive changes to Broken Moon. New character. This season at some point, Lifeline's getting a rework, but the big changes are ranked. You now, to go up in a rank, you have to complete trials. So you have 3 games if you're at a lower rank to complete an actual, like you have to get either a win or a top 5 finish with 3 kills or assists to go up. And you have to do that 3 separate times. It is crazy. And respawn beacons have changed to the point where if you respawn a teammate now, they respawn with their weapons, with no attachments, but with their weapons and with the armor they died with. So you actually get a teammate in fighting stance instead of bringing someone back and getting pushed by 8 teams and your teammates are useless. You actually have teammates now. So
I was useless with or without a weapon. So
I disagree, considering every time we've played our 1 game together, we've won every single time.
Yeah, it's amazing that we don't play ranked together, right? Like every time we play, it's just like, you want to play a one-off? All right, we win.
It's mind-blowing. It really is. But all right, guys, have a great night. We will talk to you guys. I'll talk to you guys Sunday morning.
Maybe I can make a special guest appearance right from the stadium. Who knows?
Who knows? But we'll see you guys at noon on Sunday. Have a good night and a good week, everybody.
Love y'all. Have a good night.